10,000 subscribers, lads. Let's bloody go. We've hit that 10K mark and we've got our first guest. And why did I throw that off? This is it. We are here, lads. We're here for the drop. Let's get the drop happening first.
So darn December crack my head on my mic.
Lads, hello. This is the other Paul, and we are here for the 10,000 subscriber party stream. This is awesome. Thank you for coming on, Zach, my first guest. And we've got our second one right here, my man, Geoffroy. Hello. Good to see you, boss.
Howdy. How's it going down under?
So well. It is a lovely day today, topped off or back-ended by a lovely day yesterday, going out further into the country. Well, not country, but further out of Sydney towards, real Australia. So that was a good day with one of my mates and working on content with my hyper-efficient processes. So life is just going super well right now. Thank you, lads, for joining.
Yes, no problem.
Beautiful.
I'm glad to be here.
Thanks for the invite, dude. It's a big stepping stone. That's awesome.
Absolutely, mate. Absolutely. I can't even go through all these comments. There's just too many. I'm going to have to speed run these. Thank you all, guys. I acknowledge all of these many Bays Vane, the iconoclast base. I'm a Council of Frankfurt enjoyer myself. So sorry, mate. And my man, Andy Bays. Fun fact, this guy, my first ever financial supporter, believe me, my first ever one from years back. So this guy always has a special place in my heart. I even want to do something special for him one day. You never fooled me, mate. You never fooled me. My background, which if you go further back on my mum's side, it goes to a certain area that kind of tingled a bit when you said this fake super chat. Oh man, that's an unfortunate topic. That's going to be for a video or a stream of its own. And legends, huge thanks everybody here. But I have no idea who these people are besides the guy I'm following. But let's go. Thank you very much. Oh, what a lovely time, gents. So again, thank you all for coming. How have your days been?
Pretty good. Just got off work, and I was actually just working on notes for a debate I'm doing in August. So.
Very nice. What's it on?
We are debating. I'll give you the full title here. Grab it in the group chat here. It is on monarchical government. Is the church and the state, should it be one thing? So,
and you'll be taking which side?
I'll be taking the positive side because I'm a good Anglican.
All right.
And
we assumed, but
yeah. I'll send the thumbnail to Paul here. There you go.
Legendary. Please send that to me. Is it already scheduled? Good to see you, Becca. Awesome. I can even throw up the link if you want people to go set a reminder for it.
Yeah. And when did you say that was again?
It'll be August 22nd.
August 22nd. So coming up here in about a month. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Legendary. Nice to see you 3. Thank you so much for the super chat, mate. First super chat of the night, God willing. If you want, mate, I don't know if I have your other socials except an email. If you want, I can email you a StreamYard link. So just give me the go. If you're able to come on at some time, I'm planning to go for 2.5 hours or so. And so if you're able to come on at any time, just tell me and I'll send you an email, my man. Thank you very much. Huge thanks. Huge thanks. And Jeff, how's your day going?
Oh, dude, it was long. Drove the truck all day today and just got home tired. And I said, oh man, made sausage, stayed up with my buddy Zach, stayed up all night making sausage last night. And then I woke up and drove the truck and I was like, man, slamming a 5-hour energy and chasing it with an energy drink just so that I can fall asleep while driving with an elevated heart rate. But I made it, got home, put that sausage in the smoker, and it's getting some flavor on it right now. So now I can just wait. Feels good.
Big woo lad. That is, there you go. I wonder, I'd have to ask someone in a part of my family. I wonder if they do that because they've done trucking, and also actually one of my family members' mates who does trucking. I wonder how many times they have just slammed the energy drinks for their hauls, because sometimes they'll do, it's not the worst, I guess. They'll do from here to Canberra, the capital city, which is like a 3-4 hour drive, something like that. So it's
That's not too
that bad, I guess.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
normally
Texas,
they do.
Texas and Australia, we've got a lot in common there because I mean we do that crazy long haul stuff too. But
Yeah.
I got a job where I'm local, so I'm home every night, and I'm definitely blessed. Definitely blessed.
Totally. And Zach has given me the link to that debate he's happening. So I'm going to quickly promote it right now for anybody who is indeed interested. This is it. So if people want to go get it scheduled, it is on the Northern Anglicans channel. So you can go there, go set a notification. It's for like almost a month out, so a fair bit of time. But that seems like an interesting debate in its own right. I am definitely going to check that out. God willing, I'm able to when it's live, but even afterwards, I definitely will. But
Perfect.
Anyway, that's the go. And man, so Zach, I know you've been following the crazy stuff on my interactions. Jeff, have you had because we're more on the political stuff, but have you been seeing the Ortho Bro stuff I've been getting myself into?
Yeah. So I had not heard of your, as it were, interlocutor. I had not heard of him before, but evidently you and Heath got some history, and I watched the 3 hour long. I mean, how long was that video? I watched the whole thing. I watched parts of it again. I was on a road trip down south, and I was like, you know what, put that on and listen to it. Dude, it was excellent work. Not to, show up just to toot your horn, but dude, it was excellent. And I thought your arguments were very good. You're humble without being, self depreciating. So it was great.
That's it. Well, much appreciated. I'm glad that communicated because that whole self-deprecating humor thing, that is such a how would you say, it's kind of millennial but also zennial, I guess, type of thing that happens so much. It's like, wow, okay, step back. Look, this guy hates himself. Wow, I'm supposed to think more highly of him, I guess now. Interesting.
Yeah, sometimes it can be like a false pride. I don't remember who it was. I think it was Michael Foster. Wrote about it in his book. It might have been somewhere else. I picked it up.
Maybe.
But he's just saying, self-deprecation taken too far can sometimes be a sign of pride. Interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I've seen that with people. I've even... That's the truth, Nuke. That's the truth, Nuke here. We're not ready for this. But Mr. Bitcoin icon here says to submit to the Faithful Word Baptist Church.
Come pay your obeisance to Pope Pastor Jim Bob.
Heck yeah, mate. And what is this? These papers with their sacrifice of the mass? No, it's the sacrifice of the potluck. Get it right.
That's right. It's the agape feast, man.
Truth,
we love
Nuke.
to feast.
Anglicanism, if it was good. Byzantine Right Branch. You mean Byzantine Right Branch if it was good? Anglicanism. That's what it is. The Orthodox Baptist, Texas mentioned, congrats on 10K, brother. Looking forward to the provisionism video. Yes, one of multiple videos or sets of videos, really, which are years overdue. Thank you, God, for this ADHD, which makes me extremely advanced on certain issues, but also extremely behind the times in other ones. One day, though, inshallah, one day. And there'll be proof of that because there's one thing that is like 4 years overdue, which I am actually working on right now, gotten onto it. So you guys will see that eventually. And when it comes out will depend on whether Cleve and Soren are still up to do the 2v2, which they not even tacitly, but like openly accepted on between myself and Sean Luke on the issue. But now Cleve's kind of like, I never accepted anything, even though he said, yeah, I'm good for it. I'm cool to do it. So anyway. It's not going to be a drama stream, but we'll have some fun even on that issue too. But yeah, so that's always what I've known as far as I'm aware in terms of similarities between us. Texas is Australia in America.
Yeah, what we like to say is like Australia is the UK's Texas, but then they got their independence.
True.
And then Alberta is kind of Canada's Texas. It's like all these different countries, they've got their version of Texas. We just happen to be the best version. We're the original. We're the OGs.
True. China's version of Texas is just, all of inland China, as far as I'm aware. And who else? What other countries?
Mongolia, right?
True. Saudi Arabia is Texas in 50 years, given current trends, and if they decide to start exploiting the oil. Oman is mini-me Saudi Arabia, and or is that more Kuwait? I don't know. One of them. All the little desert fiefdoms, they're all the same to me. They all blur together. I'm sure you probably know more though.
Oh, I'm not super well versed in Middle East. I want to say to anybody who like is curious about what's going on over there, pay attention to the news, because we're figuring out kind of the hard way that Persians are not Arabs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they got a very different mindset. They've got they're kind of weird.
True, very true there. I want to acknowledge this comment from one of my legendary Bishop supporters. I'll pull it up real quick. From Deus Vault, hype as heck, very aesthetic with the glasses. Thank you very much. These ones aren't even the good ones. This is like a replacement set I got from 7-Eleven. I'm not kidding, because there was a better pair. Well, that was also from 7-Eleven, but the rims were like wider. It wasn't like quite Pit Vipers, but it had like a similar-ish vibe to it. So I somehow lost those, which disappointed me. But maybe I will get some Pit Vipers sometime. Who knows? But thank you very much, Deus Vault, you legendary supporter. And to all the brand new supporters who just joined after the big video I dropped, was released, and after I hit 10K, you guys are absolute freaking legends. Huge thanks. And to that one guy who gave a freaking huge one-time donation, I kneel, good sir. But yes, that's with that. I wonder, Zach, what have you got any content on your end coming up at some point?
Yeah, right now, I'm wanting to do more studies on kind of like the and my cousin came up with this name. It's like the rated R Bible verses, and I just did one over
Nice.
Jephthah's daughter, and I'm planning on doing one for the end of Judges. I have a couple of ideas that are in the process of being created, but since I'm being ordained in a couple months, like everything's like in this weird like ether of I'm working on it, but I'm also working on nothing because I'm focusing on that. So yes, there is, but when's the stuff going to come out? Probably next month, give or take. I actually might just do a video on my stuff for this debate next month. I might make a video out of that. So
yeah, beautiful. I wonder, Jeff, what's your take on that debate issue of church-state unity / separation?
Man, I'm conflicted. All right, so hey, Goy, how's it going? Oh,
got a bit of an echo. Had a bit of an echo for a second.
Yeah, but
is that hold on a second. Is that another Jeff with a G on the channel? What is going on?
True.
Are you a Jeff with a G?
I am.
All right. Our domination of the world starts right now. This is it. All Jeffrey with G's.
G off nationalism.
They're going to take over.
Total G off nationalism. Let's take some pointers from Arvol and let's start a G off only community, and their wives, whatever their names are.
Yeah, the wives can have any name, but all the boys, all our sons and grandsons it's going to be like Germany with all the Fredericks. It's going to be Jeffrey the First, Jeffrey the Second, Jeffrey the Third.
Nice.
I'm pretty sure this is how the origins of the Gary Vault from Fallout started.
Right. The storytelling in that series is just really excellent. I mean, the games, some of them are better than others, but the stories, tell you what, just top tier.
Yeah, absolutely. From what I've heard, I mean, the Fallout. I hear Fallout 4 is like, yeah, it's good, but it's not like New Vegas and 3. I haven't played the earlier games, but I played Fallout 4. The story's pretty cool, especially towards the end. I do like the to not spoil it, but it's been 10 years. If you haven't played it already and you're a gamer, then that's your fault. But sorry, it's been 12 years. What the heck? That's crazy. I actually remember when I was at a EB Games Expo here in Sydney, and one of the developer guys was there, and I got like a photo with him, so that was kind of cool when they were showing off the game. But I just remember the ending of the story is like, oh, that's a pretty cool and sad dichotomy. But yeah.
Hey, Paul, who was that famous game developer who would like be in your chat sometime? I forget. There's some guy's name.
Oh yeah, the guy behind Baldi's Basics. Do you guys know that game?
Yeah.
I know Zach would know it. That's like your genre for videos, but it's a game. One of my channel fans, I haven't talked with the guy a while. I hope if you're there, Pog, I would love to hear from you again. But he knows personally the developer of Baldi's Basics, which is like if you look it up, Jeff, you'll see how massive it is. Like all the biggest gaming YouTubers played it. It's massive. And he knew him personally, and he brought him into my live stream chat, and he knew of me. And I was like, it was one of my gaming streams. I think I was playing Stellaris, and when I saw it, I was like, holy crap, it's that him? That's him? I was like, bro, I worship you. I kneel. And then he started freaking out in the comments, like, no, please don't do that.
Stand up, I am but a man. That is cool.
Oh, man.
I'll look into this.
It's really cool. It's fascinating. If that guy's somehow still listening and finds me, I would love to hear from you again. Both the guy who introduced us and the developer guy himself. That would be super, super cool.
Yeah, I figure for a 10K, it might be good. Greatest hits.
It might be if he would condescend to my mere 10K-ness. This guy with multi-millions of sales probably by this point for that game.
Oh, we all know what your best video is.
One of them, it's peak. It's peak. The one which was look, I'm not gonna lie, but with the one I just dropped about Cleve, that one is quite gemmy.
It's going places.
But in terms of raw meme videos, okay, yes, that has to go to slap some noon on it. And for people who do not know, because they must know, that phrase comes from this guy right here, a Goy for Jesus. He was the one who employed that phrase in our early days of Roman apologetics, and that just stuck with me. And I thought, I just thought one day, it'd be really funny.
I think the thing is, it's like, oh, you should make a meme, and we should make a meme and slap it on. I think is how it went, and then you just no, I'm gonna make this awesome video.
That's it. It happened. And there's gonna be. And look, okay, Stormy, this is your fault. Okay, that is your fault if you haven't finished Fallout 4 already. I've condescended to you by not spoiling it, but I almost feel like you should, just to spite your laziness, all right? And that's coming from someone with ADHD who can barely schedule things well as it is. So, sorry, not my fault. Congrats from an old friend that rhymes with banked pillar. No. Good to see you, mate. So glad you are growing to 10,000 subs and engaging with the Ortho Bros. Thank you very much, mate. And lovely to hear from you again. Whatever socials you have still with me, please contact me somehow. I'd love to hear from you again. It's been ages. My man.
And we do need people to go against the Ortho Bros because our finest warriors seemingly have been very hesitant to go that direction. So it's definitely needed.
I think it's because there's a lot to, I've been doing interactions with Catholics and Jews for decades, right? And then it's all of a sudden it's you have to have the time to kind of do the Ortho Bros, and not just Eastern Orthodoxy, but their particular spin
multiple
on it.
Different variations. Yeah. And
that's
then
right.
It's not
super quick. So sorry. Got to acknowledge this. Rust Belts, thank you so much for that. Hugely acknowledge it. I hope I haven't missed any other super chats. No, I have not. Okay, keep going, Jeff.
Yeah, a lot of us are familiar with Roman Catholic apologetics because, we were weaned on James White and, all these people who wanted to take the Catholics head on, and it was great. And then the Ortho Bros show up, and a lot of people are like, oh, same song, second verse. And while there's a lot of overlap, and while they like to utilize the Catholic arguments, it really is a very different kind of a thing. It's a whole new kettle of fish. So got to do the reading. Man. Absolutely true.
And you know what? There is Ortho Bros love to taunt that, so many of these guys, they don't want to debate us. And it's like, well, have you considered this because you guys are just insufferable? Have you actually taken the moment to think that it may be because let's take apologetics out of it. Let's just take even the mere debating aspect out of it. Have you considered that you guys just as people are really unlikable by people outside of your very narrow band of the personality spectrum? Have you guys actually considered that? Seriously.
Yeah. By the time 109 people have said they don't want to debate you, maybe it's you.
Whoa, we're going there. Oh man, another $10 super chat. I recently discovered your short with the 40k mechanic as dub applied to Calvinism, and it is my new favorite thing on the internet. It's old, you men are off. Bro, I remember all my men. That's one thing I remember really. I remember all my gems. That one is it's taking the audio from one of the trailers of one of the Warhammer 40k games. And it's just applying it to Calvinism, just taking the whole meme of like, oh, Calvinists are like, they make people machines and robots and blah, blah. And we just embrace it like, yeah, we've taken off the flesh and we've embraced the blessed machine, which is the chain of redemption.
In a group chat, man, I actually referenced that video.
Nice.
Like, not that long
Nice.
ago. Like,
absolutely, mate. It's my main vids. They're always trying to be that profound of like something that can be referenced time and time again, always relevant, or at least when the topic comes up. That's the way of these things. But on the Ortho Bros again, I mean, yeah, that is just the case. Like many really competent guys just who are very competent and can thrash Ortho Bro arguments time and time again in more sober one-off videos or essays or whatever. They do that fine. They either in general they just don't like live debates. They don't do that, or even if they do, they just don't like how the Ortho Bros do it, which they lie, of course, and turn that to mean, oh, they're afraid to debate us because we'll destroy them. So, which is obviously a lie. And I'd be willing to understand if certain major opponents from Rome or the East wouldn't be willing to debate me or others because they're not into that kind of debating. I'm not going to gloat about them like that. I'm just going to say, okay, fair enough. That's not your mode, so we can do the old-fashioned way.
Yeah, I've been seeing more on X the people the Orthodox who are not Ortho Bros who are like, guys, what are you like? Yeah. What are you doing here? So
absolutely, no, absolutely right.
And for me, it's just from observation. It's like I want to get into the Orthodox debate sphere, but it's like after you just see enough people jump in, it's like it's the same recipe every time. You pull these people in where you can control the mic. The person comes in, tries to defend their point. You talk over them, you yell at them, you insult them, you mute them, you kick them out and ban them, and beat your chest and declare victory. And it's like I've seen that enough time, and I see like where somebody is debating them on X or being like, I'm just trying to give you this like formal point here, and then they just get banned and be like, no one wants to speak to me. And it's like, as you guys are saying, it's like, what's the point at this point? Like, everybody can see it, everybody has screenshots, everybody knows your narrative. It's like there's literally no point in talking to you. And the Bible talks about people who are like you for a reason of foolish behavior.
That's right. And here's the unfortunate thing about exactly that. If it wasn't effective, if their whole thing was extremely like niche, then it could be easily ignorable. But it's not, because in the end, on the one hand, there is a nicheness to it, but on the other hand, they do, with their mode of debate, they do deceive many, a good number of otherwise well-intentioned but very simple-minded lay Christians into their arguments and then bring them to conversions on that. Look, for me, it's unfortunate if someone goes to the East, but it's even worse if they do so on the foundations of orthobro arguments, which are liable to utterly collapse your faith if and when you eventually see that they're actually really bad. So that's what makes it a really much more urgent thing for me. And so that's why in light of that, I've seen, look, someone has to step up to it. So I'm going to do that myself. I mean, I've already taken myself out of my chronic introvert nature from my teen years. So I can go a step further and go into like the extreme bullish debating sphere, but without stooping to their level, but still with the needed aggressions. And that's why I've been trying to push any other apologists who are like well-learned, who can do the same thing, please join the heck in. And sure enough, some are actually trying to do that. Like with our friend Matt Hedges, who's an extreme brain on reform scholastic stuff, on penal substitution atonement. He tried to call into Jay, and Jay just tried to distract from the topic until he eventually banned Matt. And now Matt's pushing Cleve to debate him on the issue. Cleve's dodging that. And it's great. We just need clone that like a few more times, and it's beautiful.
Yeah, does anybody have contact?
He brought him on, then kicked him immediately, and then all the Ortho Bros were like, "Oh, he's scared. He's running away." And it's like, no, dude, you booted him.
Exactly. I've heard that multiple times from other friends who tried to call into Jay. But what were you saying? Goy for Jesus, Jeff?
You just call me, whatever.
Goy Jeff.
as long as what I say at work is, as long as the the check hits the bank account twice a month. You can call me whatever you want. I don't care, because the faction from India or whatever always call me like Rob or something like that, or something like that. I was like, I don't care, man. But anyway, yeah. I was trying to get in touch with him because I guess he recently wrote a book about in the Jewish apologetic sphere. But I DM'd him on X, but no reply yet. So I didn't know what his areas of interest were outside of it. Seems like it's a little broad, in a good way, He seems.
Yeah.
I follow him. He seems to be pretty well read.
True that. Let the reader understand. Indeed. Oh man. But yeah, with that, I mean, like, where do we even go from here? What's some other fun speculation for? You know what? I'll mention something because obviously it's my party stream, so I may as well talk about some stuff happening with me. August, I'm building my new PC, like totally top of the line parts, high tier.
How much did that cost you in the age of AI buying up all the parts?
Enough that there was a price hike with certain parts, but I still got them before things got to the absolute worst and before like proper shortages. So I feel like I'm on like the last lifeboat off the Titanic, basically, with my parts, especially as the next generation of NVIDIA cards. I've got the latest generation with it. I've got the 5080. And it's one of the top models of the latest generation. They're not planning on a launch until possibly 2028, which means like a 2-year lifespan for a GPU card, which is like almost unheard of for a long time. Meaning they're going to optimize the crap out of my hardware, which is great, which is really, really good over time. It's gonna help so much.
Are you planning on running like a local AI model? I know you've been doing some interesting stuff on.
I would honestly, I'd love to. I'm not sure. I mean, I'm pretty sure my setup could do that because I've also got 64 gigabytes of DDR5 RAM, which is monstrous. I can do that, but maybe not to like the super high level models that I would want to do, like for the kind of experimentation I want to do. But it's mostly for video editing and VFX stuff anyway.
You could get a harness or something, or where it you can do more local stuff, like the simpler tasks on a local model.
That's right,
and then just send out the more complex tasks out to the frontier models.
That's right. Yeah, so I might give that some experiments, but this new PC is gonna basically make video editing. Well, for one, I'm gonna be able to start from scratch with organizing my files because my computer right now is an absolute mess. So I'm gonna be able to start from scratch with that, keep everything much better organized. Video editing will be far faster. I even want to get into some VFX stuff with my videos, and this PC will be an absolute monster for achieving that.
That sounds cool.
And so yeah, I'll hope to
stay single, Paul. You can have that money to spend on your computer,
on the toys. Yeah, that's the best argument against marriage. So I can keep spending it on the massive boy toys like this.
What cost you your PC? Everything.
Yeah, I mean, before I got married, I had much nicer vehicles and guns and all that kind of stuff. You get married, especially start having kids, they cost money, man. But
yeah,
hey,
and time.
At the end of the day,
that's the main problem I had is I had to get a new job that was much more involved than my last one, and that combined with other family matters or whatever, it's just it really sucks the time out of learning new topics or getting well read on anything, that sort of thing. It stinks in its own way, but it's good, and it is what it is. Better than starving.
It does, yeah, it does. And I will actually comment on this. Editing is just as heavy on the CPU as GPU. That's right. That's absolutely right. So I tried to also get one of the best CPUs I could see, and that was I forgot the exact model name, but it's the i7 or the Core Ultra 7, I think that's what it's called, is it either 295K or 275K? I forgot the exact numbers. I think it's 295K, but basically top of the line new stuff. That's right, yeah, Intel. So I made sure to go crazy with the computer. But anyway, on the time investment for stuff, I mean, like hopefully AI can optimize my marriage too. So I can build my wife just a host of maids with Elon's new what is it? What do they call it? Olympus bots or something? What do they call it again?
Optimus.
Optimus. Sorry, yeah, Optimus. I can just get a few of those. My wife can get them, and we can just repeat the movie iRobot, which is kind of predicting everything.
Yeah, I'm probably a little too old and my health probably won't be the greatest in the future, but to see like how the demographic collapse of, most of the Western or most of the world in general play out, but probably see it in South Korea first, but it'll probably play out with wife robots.
Yeah, no doubt. Especially with Japan. If Japan doesn't start cleaning up its
Korea's worse, man. South Korea is like the worst.
The worst.
Shinzo Abe was just straight up telling his people have sex. That's it. Okay, yes, fine. Get married. Maybe they don't have. I don't know how it is in Japan, but just do that. Have children, please.
There's actually a Japanese baby boom because several years ago there was it was a minor baby boom. It was like 1 year, but they had these massive sweeping power outages, and I think it was Shinzo Abe came on and just told everybody, "Hey, go home and have sex with your wife." And like 9 months later, all these kids pop out. It was kind of funny, kind of cool.
Yeah. So from what I'm aware, South Korea has the worst demographics. And they also have a problem where like the men are getting more conservative, right? Like most of men around the world, but the women, like I think this is true most in the Western and Western influenced countries. Women are going way far feminist left, and it's creating like a huge mismatch. And it's most pronounced in Korea. It's like, and China, like there's a lot of interesting stuff on China with their one-child policy that they overstate their population by maybe up to like 600 million or something like that.
I've heard about that. I would love to see the data behind that because that's true, and that's actually
there's a Chinese lady on the internet. If you just put in like into YouTube or something, missing, China population. So it's essentially like, okay, when they started the one-child policy, they had X amount of people, and then you just plug in the numbers, and it's like, no, there's no way they're at like 1.1 or 1.2 billion. It's like not possible.
Or alternative theory, they ate the 600 million.
Well, I know there's a birthing crisis anyway because of the one-child policy. Everybody was having boys because that's how you would carry your line, to the point where then they invoked the two-child policy. I don't know if it's still. I don't know. It's been a while since I looked into it, but I know they enacted that. But even then, like at this point, it's so topsy-turvy with the genders, and now they have an age crisis as well. And I think they said like unless they fix it, which I know they're trying to, somewhere I think between like 2050 is when they're gonna have a population decline.
I personally think the reason why they've been pushing AI is because like they're like, we're not getting out of this demographic problem, so we got to make we got to start doing the robots and make everybody way more productive just to keep society at an even keel, like prosperity wise. If you just like, we need to make everybody like 5 times more productive or something like that. I think that's what's going on. Is what the push is my educated guess.
Another comment from my awesome bishop Deus Volt, and yes, the supporter tiers, by the way.
You mean presbyter? You mean your awesome presbyter?
shut up. Anyway, so from my alternative hierarchy that I've established here, from this, these aren't just tier names just for the lols. I have actually established my own separate church. And so they say, oh, you can't set your own new church, you can't schism. Yes, I can. Stop me. That's the ultimate argument against, like, oh, you're not allowed to start your own church. Saint Ignatius said, oh, okay, is Saint Ignatius going to walk up and stop me? No. Okay, I've done it.
Paul, you have to join the PCUSA, man. That's the one true church. Everything else is schism.
Redeem Zuma, I will debate you on whether the PCUSA or the other Paul64.com supporter tiers are the valid hierarchy in the United States. I will debate you on this.
All Pentecostals must join the Assemblies of God, or they're in schism.
Oh man, the rabbit hole there. No. The AOG, they need to rejoin with the holiness movements, who need to rejoin back with the Wesleyans, who need to rejoin back with the Anglicans, who need to rejoin back with Rome, who need to rejoin back with the non-Chalcedonians, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But and
eventually you'll get to the Mormon church at the end.
Oh,
they came out of that same movement, that spiritualist movement. So they're in there at the same time as the Pentecostals and.
Yeah. Anyway, my bishop supporter. What's wild is they, Ortho Bros, spend so much time haranguing people to debate, but then people start coming out to debate like Hedges, and then they start vanishing into smoke or saying they'll only do a call-in. Debate Jay, debate Soren, debate Ben. Okay, let's do it. No, you have to call in. How about a moderated neutral debate? Smoke bomb. Yeah, that every single time. Every single time. That's how it happens. It's quite beautiful, and they'll come up and they'll often come up with some excuse like Ben may be trying to avoid a 2v2, which we basically already strong. I don't want to say he said, oh, it's absolutely set in stone. He did say, yes, I want to do it, provided my priest lets me. So he said, yeah, I'm doing it. Let's go for it, provided my priest lets me. So we'll see what happens, because we're thinking around September, October. We're going to revisit it at that time and ask, hey, Ben and Soren, let's what are we looking like for this? So yeah, we'll have to revisit that not too long. But yeah, what else is there to talk about?
Maybe talk about Richard in the chat here.
Now, this is so unfortunate. I will say this is an unfortunate thing where honest, to be totally honest, Richard is going way too hard on the issue on some people. And I do think some of his schism arguments, I can't go into detail right now, while there's some decent points behind them, I don't think a lot of them, or I don't think others of them are warranted to get to his more hardcore conclusions. From my own position, I just call myself an ecclesial Machiavellian. And if you saw the big video drop, when I said that in a video that Cleave to Antiquity and Ubi Petrus were responding to, Ubi, his face went when I said ecclesial Machiavellian. But I own it. And it's basically just describing that, look, there's times where it's good or even necessary to reclaim a corrupt hierarchy, but there's also times where it's good or even necessary to separate from it. And there are often there may be people in the same, with respect to the same corrupted hierarchy, where there's people who validly do both, stay in to reclaim it, get out and try to attack from outside. And so that's just my basic position. And I think Richard goes too strong with the anti-schism arguments.
By Machiavellian, do you just mean like a pragmatic approach, or how? Because
pretty much, yeah.
Realpolitik, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Just looking at it of like, look, the official. It's nice. You can think there's the official this, official that, rules this, rules that. But in the end, how do you actually maintain power? Like, power is an actual and concrete thing. It doesn't operate, like, the rules don't apply themselves. People apply the rules, or they break them. So that's the key observation of quote unquote Machiavellianism. And I just apply that to church politics, which one of our mutual friends, Dominic Fu, he's been doing a lot recently, and he does it really, really well.
Oh, with the China stuff, you mean?
Not just China, but especially that. With the for the China situation, people don't know the Sino-Vatican Accords, which is basically like a capitulation of approve. As far as I'm aware, like, the Chinese government basically has to approve Chinese Roman Catholic bishops. which is huge.
I did a
but
video on
yeah.
that, like a little 3, 4, or 5 minute video, which I said, I think I entitled it "Example China." Why they're, I forget what it was subtitled, but it was basically the benefits of not having one denomination. Which is that, so I come from a computer science or a engineering point of view, and I guess you also glean insights from farming or nature or whatever, where you don't want to have like a monoculture and like a single point of failure, right? So a lot of this is just have come from reflecting on Roman Catholic arguments. So it's like, I don't know if you guys are old enough, but like in the 90s and up until Francis, Roman Catholics wouldn't argue Catholicism, blah, 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 blah. They would argue papacy. The papacy does this, the papacy does that, the papacy is so wonderful, the papacy provides unity. Then Francis came along and all those arguments went away magically. And it became like Catholicism in general, this amorphous Catholicism. And what it is like a hierarchy works well in one structure and doesn't work well in another structure. And so when these hierarchies, so in China, there was an article, I think it was in the Atlantic or something, that basically said that the problem with Protestants is basically there wasn't one point that they could subvert, like the Vatican. So they could control all these churches. An Episcopal model might work better in stamping out heresy in one era, but be worse in another era for a different problem. So that's kind of why, I think maybe if I will speculate that God has allowed different branches in the tree to flourish. That's just me.
I would big time agree. Yeah. But before I say more, Sean, hello. How are you, mate?
Man.
Hey, I'm doing well. I can be here for about half an hour, but just wanted to say hi and congratulations, man.
Huge thanks.
Came on to Paul's channel, huh?
I know.
What am I missing?
I think we were on the Barely
like
Protestant.
The second or third channel we've been on like together, and I'm supposed to come on your channel.
Yeah, you're supposed to come on my channel like a while ago to discuss the Fatima debate, but
yeah, I'm still willing to do that.
Yeah, we can do that.
I've done actually more reading since, of course.
Oh yeah, okay, maybe
Beautiful.
what you've learned since then, maybe a summary.
Yeah,
and you saw the videos I did on the Fatima stuff. I assume. Yeah, that's good.
Beautiful. That kind of stuff is absolutely needed. And a lot, other than that, Sean, what have you got cooking up?
Yeah, so currently working on a video comparing the Anglican doctrine of the Mass to Bellarmine, just directly attacking his book, The Holy Sacrifice of the Mass. Of course, Anglican Catechetical Initiative stuff is always ongoing. We're meeting on Sunday to you keep plowing through book 7. Yeah, and then it feels like there's always so much need, and it's always difficult for me to figure out what to focus on. Those two things are the immediate things of the Mass and then book 7 of the laws. But I'm excited for the Mass because we're just directly it's funny. I feel like that bell curve meme where it's like low IQ, like
midway and then high IQ.
I feel like so with this video I've been working on, it's the like low IQ, Roman Catholics they think you re-sacrifice Jesus. Like high IQ, it's not re-sacrifice, it's re-presentation.
Genius IQ.
Actually, they really well, yeah. So and there are a couple of reasons where just reading Maurice de la Taille, reading Ludwig Ott, reading of course Bellarmine as well, reading Suarez on the finitude of the Mass relative to its satisfactory value. It's like, no, actually, this really does seem like
that should be your thumbnail. Like, this contradicts Hebrews. It's like, no, we're doing whatever somersault lowest version distinction, endless distinction in the midwit tier, and then it's like, nah, you're re-sacrificing.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Well, the cool thing about the ACI, since you brought that up, like I don't know if you guys know, Paul. I mean, I know you do, but the ACI and my initial here for ARM, the Anglican Renaissance Movement, has been working together on a lot of stuff. We're actually having a meeting tonight, and we will. And it's kind of a spoiler for all the people who are going to be at the meeting. We'll probably, more than likely, potentially in January, we're going to be at the March for Life as Anglican Renaissance Movement with Anglicans for Life there. And yeah, one of the things I forgot to mention earlier when you're asking like what's on the agenda, YouTube wise, like is everything I said, but I've been doing a lot of background work with the Anglican Renaissance Movement, and it's
Nice.
I mean, Sean knows, but it's like we're absolutely killing it in the background, and there's a lot of good things coming to the future.
Yeah.
So I like how somebody in chat here put the Anglican Avengers ?
I'm Presbyterian.
We'll change that.
Hey,
I'm
I have
yeah,
we
you-
have a ACNA church that meets in our PCA church. I don't know how Redeemed Zoomer feels about that, but that's the way it is.
The church building is invalid. Actually, Sean, I haven't read it yet, but I saw you posted an article response to Zoomers claimed. Give us a summary on that.
Yeah. Well,
Actually, I'm so sorry. As soon as you started, Father James has come in here. What is up, Father James? If you are able to
right.
connect.
Anglican Renaissance takeover. Here we go.
Still
Is everybody
loading.
Anglican here but me?
Well,
I'm
I
a
mean,
Baptist.
Hey, all right, close enough.
I'm way out there, man.
He's
But
he's,
hey, I'm 1689 Baptist. That's like
Okay,
really
okay.
Hey,
adjacent.
You're
right?
allowed. Yeah.
Baptists and
Well, that's-
Presbyterians are just potential Anglicans you meet along the way.
Hey, you know, Presbyterians and Baptists, what we are is we are Anglicans who lie to ourselves about our history.
hey, I didn't say it.
Hey, Father James, can you hear us?
Looks
Yeah,
like he's driving
can you hear
there.
me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
you-
Can you hear
You're
me?
like,
You might want to turn off your
barely.
video to increase your bandwidth so we can get more.
Yeah,
people
maybe.
there. There we go. Now try talking.
Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yep.
we can hear you.
Somewhat.
Can you hear
yeah.
me?
Yep,
Yep.
I can hear you.
Can you hear me? Okay,
Yes.
Yes.
awesome.
Yep.
Hey, more on that Presbyterian thing. Just so you all know, I have on Sunday nights about 30 or so, anywhere between 20 and 30 Presbyterians I teach a class on who are interested in Anglicanism. So
Woo.
Those are lies.
just to prove that point right.
all lies.
Not a lie. It's
Are
literally
they
it is
PCUSA
literally
Presbyterians?
live
or
streamed
they,
on my church's YouTube channel. No,
oh,
CREC. CREC.
Oh, CREC. Okay, then I don't care. I'm
Well,
Oh,
I mean,
interesting.
CREC is
CREC.
like a barely Presbyterian denomination. I mean, I've been
Yeah.
to a couple of their services, and I know several CREC guys. It's like it feels much more Anglican than Presbyterian, just
Yeah, I don't-
on the ground.
I don't think it's even, as far as I'm aware, it's not even like
Maybe
Presby as
maybe your
such.
normies
Isn't it
don't-
like? Isn't it like a? Isn't it like
Go ahead.
kind of like a federative group? You can have people who accept the 39 Articles or the Southern Baptist, sorry, not Southern, 1689 or the Westminster. Like I've seen, like from a friend I know on Mime, I saw her CREC church, and it was like basically a high church Anglican one. So, yeah,
I think they have
yeah.
a Presbyterian church structure, like church governance, which
right.
I don't know about the.
Yes.
I know. Yeah.
Yeah.
So just to add to that, I think a lot of the Presbyterians that we're familiar with today are basically Baptists. Not to denigrate the Presbyterians or the Baptists, but there's a lot of overlap between those two. Like especially if you get to like PCA and Reformed Baptists, they're essentially the same in my book.
I mean, even according
But
to
yeah.
Redeemed Zoomer, you can be in the PCUSA, not even hold the Westminster. If you remember our conversation that him, Sean, and JT and I had.
Well, you can be a
Whoa! I have to interrupt here. $123.45 super chat. What the heck?
Is that
What is
Australian or
this?
American?
Is that
dollar?
right?
Oh wait, no, this is a troll. Wait, is this a troll? Is that a super? It is. No, it's not a troll. It's an actual. Okay,
Yeah,
that wasn't
yeah,
just his
it's real.
name. Holy cow!
That's awesome.
Bro,
Huh.
bro.
Wow.
Hopefully they're not like
Thanks,
Liberian
Masad.
dollars.
Yeah, Mossad paycheck is just here. Hang on, hang on. How much is that left to go? That is $7,877.55 to go.
76.55.
Wow.
6,000.
Man, I don't get anything like that. I don't have that many subscribers. I was thinking about getting a DraftKings promo or something. Maybe
That's how much
Gotta get those Kalshi bucks, man. Yeah, but
Yeah. Well,
appropriate
no,
name
that's
there,
a
paying
that's a
rent.
predictive
Thank you.
market. That's not gambling. That's so totally different.
Right. Sure.
That is crazy. Well, mate, what a what do I even say about this legendary super chat? And bro didn't even give a
I
message
think
with him.
that's
What
like
a
the biggest one I've seen. That might be
that's,
like
the,
Yeah.
that's
Well,
the biggest one I've seen for me. Yeah.
you know of our theology sphere.
Yeah, exactly. Like, bro, and this absolute Chad just didn't even give a message with it. Like, that is wow, that is, mate. I kneel. Thank you, Mr. Paying Rent. I don't even know what to say. You legend. Thank you so much. Let's just bask in this. And you know what? It's perfect timing because, as I mentioned earlier, since hitting 10K with the new video, bunch more new supporters have been coming in, which is great for me.
Yeah.
Because as we all know, I only care for money. But second to that, I'm wanting to make this. This is something I've been trying to make my job, basically. And we've gotten a lot closer to that. Literally, as we were streaming, someone else became a Bishop tier supporter, so that's freaking cool. And so with that, with all this new support income, I'm going to be able to get a lot of new stuff to help make this stuff even better. New software, probably going to get a teleprompter. So like my script reading with videos is more eye contact with camera. And also just general saving because also it's my income. So I'll be able to save up and be able to, God willing, rent in a dream town in a country, Australia. So I can just get out of Sydney, frankly, and get away from all the distractions and frankly the dangers at some point. But yeah, that's
Finally quit your job at Aldi.
Hey.
low key. If I was to work at I haven't thought of it, but if I was to work at a grocer joint like that, Aldi would probably be the better one because of how just nice it is. Yeah,
No Aldi slander over here. Hey, I like that.
true.
Yeah.
Unfortunately for you, those are Guyanese dollars. So I'm sorry to inform you.
Rip.
Oh,
Okay, well, I guess I can buy a
SB
Macca's
Becca is
burger.
pointing out it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Good
That's
catch.
right. I saw that. It's pretty great. But yeah, wow. What do I even say? True. For anyone who hasn't buy my book, go to my website. More to come, including a pocket guide to Anglicanism, which is going to be great. Anyway, Father James, what are you doing today?
No, I just finished the vestry meeting. I'm heading back to the church to pick up some stuff, and then I'm dog sitting tonight.
Oh, nice.
Oh, nice.
Wow.
Yep.
Beautiful.
But then we have our board game. Hey, we have our board game day tomorrow. Also, I'm really excited about that.
Okay.
Once a month, our
Nice.
church
What's
gets
the-
together for board games. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
sweet. What's the game?
What's the what?
What's the board game?
It depends what we want to play. The one I've been really loving right now is called Terraforming Mars. Yeah.
Sounds like pro Elon Musk
Can you hear me?
propaganda. Yeah, I can hear you.
You broke up a bit, but we can
Nope.
hear you.
Okay.
Yeah, I've heard great
I'm
stuff
actually
about
almost at the church.
terraforming
I'm just gonna hang up and then go on the laptop.
All right.
Too
Oh, it's
easy.
great. I
Too
love
easy.
it.
We'll
Yeah.
see you soon, Father.
All right, see you in a bit.
See you soon.
We got
Yeah,
Josh
what is
in the middle there.
everybody's favorite board games? Because I'm a bit of a board game nut, and for casual family gaming, I think there's not much that's better than Settlers of Catan. It's a classic for a reason.
Yeah.
Like, there's another game that my brother-in-law got me into, a little more complicated, really fun, and it's called Indonesia. And it is a market and area control game. It is really, really complicated, but lots of fun. And playing it with my brothers-in-law, though, is a lost cause because they're a lot smarter than I am.
We'll get to that in a moment. But Sean, before we interrupted you with
the
Father
article.
James, you're gonna give us your argument response to Zuma.
Yes, yeah. So Hammond makes a really good point here, and I'll read the quote, and then people can
and
go.
who's this? Who's
Yeah,
this
so
for people who don't know?
Bishop Henry Hammond, 17th century Anglican, kind of famous for a very kind of what we might call high church view of episcopacy, defending the Church of England against charges of schism. He was very much a royalist in many ways, and he treats, of course, the question of schism in response to the charge from the Church of Rome that the English church is schismatic. And I'll read the quote here that I think sums up the argument well. Paul, feel free to cut me off if this takes too much time, but it shouldn't. It's about a 2-minute quote here. He says the following, quote, "The evidence of which is, I conceive, so demonstrative and irresistible that will be justly extended much further than the present case of the Church of England gives me any temptation to extend it." In other words, the evidence that they're not schismatic. Okay. "For our case, our ancestors had unjustly and criminously made a separation from the Church of Rome, which it shall anon appear that they have not." So in other words, he's granting this hypothetical. Let's just say that the English church made an unjust separation from the Church of Rome, which shall anon appear they have not. And we and our successors in that schism should unfeignedly confess, repent, and desire to reform that sin, and uprightly discharge our conscience in neglecting no means that patient humility, charity could suggest to us in order to obtain our reconciliation. Yet, if that cannot be obtained by all these submissions without the harder conditioning of renouncing or professing or seeming in common reputation of men to renounce any part of divine truth or Christian practice, which we verily believe to be the truth and our duty, it would not be our guilt, but only our unhappiness that we were forced to continue in that separation. The reason it is evident from the former grounds. We must not sin, that we may give glory to God. Such is confession and fruits of repentance. A penitent must not lie to enable himself to make restitution, nor the contrite schismatic commit any new sin. Such certainly is hypocrisy, lying, professing contrary to present persuasion, to complete his repentance for the old. In other words, we have here an example in the 17th century of an Anglican who's arguing, look, even if you're right that the Church of England initially made an unjust separation, because of course papists then and now repeat the calumny that the Church of England was started by Henry VIII. They just don't stop repeating that calumny for 5 centuries.
It's insane.
So even if that's the case, Hammond makes the argument that, look, because even were that the case, it is now the case that there have been certain doctrinal barriers now erected by the Church of Rome that make it such that to rejoin them would put you under a sentence of excommunication. Is actually impossible to do without sinning. So you're taking oaths, for instance, swearing to things that you don't actually believe or intend to do. And that would be then to sin. So to ameliorate that situation, even if it were an initially schismatic act, would then implicate you in new sin. And for that reason, you're not at liberty to do it. My argument is then, if we take that situation and apply that to the ACNA, and of course, I'm sure it could apply to the PCA as well, but if we take it and apply it to the ACNA situation, where TEC, the Episcopal Church in the 1990s and onward, requires bishops to swear to uphold the path to women's ordination to the priesthood and the episcopacy open to women. They're not permitted to inhibit that, or else they can come under canonical trial, be defrocked, and eventually lose ministry. Given that such is the case, it's impossible for now a bishop to come into the Episcopal Church who's Orthodox to swear to uphold those canons.
Yeah, same with the PCUSA, by the way. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, great. And then for the same reason that Hammond lists that even if we granted the Church of England was initially schismatic from Rome, it's no longer so because repentance doesn't look like rejoining. We can apply that to the present situation of denominations like the ACNA or the PCA or whatever. That's the argument in a nutshell.
Beautiful. Yeah, beautiful. And it's hard to see how that can really be denied, especially as when you see with how Richard's arguing it with Redeem Zuma. Oh, well, I haven't even sent him a thingo. But with how he's arguing about it, many of the Romanists out there who've been responding have been making good points like, hey, Zuma, like your argument. Come back to Rome, please.
Right.
And in my lights, it's like, you know what, bad optics, but it's kind of got a point. So,
right. Well, and I'll just say that the logical endpoint of his argument, if it's not Rome or the East, the logic, because he might raise all of these like, well, we've been unjustly excommunicated. Okay, if that's not the logical endpoint, the logical endpoint is then to say, well, Orthodox clergy then are prohibited from ever being installed, or they should lay down their orders in order to not take a false oath, and therefore what people are obligated to do is hand over the denomination to liberal clergy and subject the people to that. That's the end point of his argument, that somehow there's an obligation to subject the people to the handing over of the denomination to liberal clergy, given the current state of the canons that Orthodox clergy cannot in good sense, conscience swear to.
that's right.
I think sorry, go.
I have to get going. I have a argument that adds on top of Sean's, but obviously I can't do that right now since I have to jump to a meeting. But Paul, congratulations on the 10K. Father James, Sean,
Thank you, Zach.
Jeff, and Jeff. It's all great to see you guys. Goy for Jesus, I'd like to do a collaboration with you sometime.
Sure. Anything you have in mind, or?
I can't think of anything at the moment since my brain's in gotta go time. But,
all right, well, get my contact info from Paul.
Perfect. It was nice seeing all you guys again. Paul, congrats on the 10K.
Good to see you, Zach.
Okay.
Thank you so much, man.
Take care,
Catch you
Zach.
around.
Bye.
But yeah. Those are all ultimately solid points. Like it is ironically just going back to like, well, what did the reformers say about what actually constitutes schism, and what maintains schism, and especially the distinction of the initial act of schism versus his maintenance. That is actually quite critical, because if you don't hold to that distinction, you do get the absurdities, like with Rome and the East claims. It just simply doesn't follow that even if you did have a bad reason to schism initially, even if it was a genuine act of like sinful schism initially, that therefore it must always remain that way. Especially if you're like, okay, we recognize that's bad, we want to come back, but now we see you have these really bad problems and we can't come back, given the truth of the Christian religion as we understand it. So what do you even do there? It kind of creates the absurd situation.
But Paul, you said as we understand it, see private judgment. Lean not on your own understanding, Paul. Lean on the understanding of the papists.
Whoever I hear bring that up against me next in a video, I'm going to find them in the United States. I will fly there and I will throw them through drywall. Inshallah.
You know, it's funny. It's like every time I say the word, like, I think that this is what, like, man, it's hard because it's like, man, you really try. But every time one says, like, well, I think this, then it's like, well, do you think or do you know? And if you leaned on Rome, you would know.
Yeah, one of my coworkers is my manager is from India, and he mentioned that his hometown, you know, he has a like a European name because he comes from a Christian area of India.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so he was saying that, you know, they were, I guess, whatever they were just the St. Thomas whatever, and then the Roman Catholic or the Portuguese came in, and then, you know, they started, no, you got to be Roman Catholic. So they're like, what? You know, so then you have the originals plus the Catholics, and then I guess the Dutch came in, and then the English, and then so all these successive waves, and that's how they got all their different churches or whatever.
Yep.
And,
Yep.
and just to me, it's amusing that the first wave to come in were the Portuguese, and the the schism started with Rome trying to force the papacy on them.
Alas.
I think a lot of this comes down to the schism in the New Testament seems to be more on the local level, right? Like that's what kind of they were dealing with. And then I think the political realities, we're not in the same political sphere as when the emperor could control stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's just, so it's trying to spend the time to unwind. You can't unscramble eggs, So I don't know what to tell people.
Yeah.
But I think the worst thing though is like, I think people's natural affection for their kids be like, you know what? I'm sorry, I'm not joining one of these mainline churches. Like I have legitimate, like I have a 2-year-old who needs to go to Sunday school and grow up in the faith, and I'm not going to subject them to the rainbow mafia.
Yeah.
That is just not. That's like not going to happen. And I think maybe that's the bell curve, the IQ curve meme too, because it's like, no, I'm not. My kids are more important than whatever your view of schism is I think what would happen.
Nice. That's a good quote. Someone's going to save that quote.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Father James, what's your input?
My input is that I wish all the best for Richard, for Redeem Zoomer, when it comes to what he's doing. I don't think something like the Episcopal Church is salvageable. I just don't.
They're not salvageable
Along the
because
lines
of the
of what-
Episcopal model. Would you agree? Like, I think if they focused on like is United Church of Christ congregational?
Yeah, they might be. Yeah.
So I don't think it would be. I'm sympathetic to the idea that it's when it's good, it's really good. When it's bad, it's really bad. That sort of thing that was being talked about earlier.
Yeah.
At the same time, I don't know. I guess. I guess. Actually, no. Really, honestly, from what I've understood when it comes to the Episcopal Church, is that it's not been necessarily the bishops historically that have been the ones that are pushing like the most radical of liberalism. It's really been what is the name? The lay people in diocesan and general convention who can vote. That has been what my understanding is, like the most common liberalizing group.
Susan from the church council, or like the
Yeah,
Catholic meeting,
yeah.
the Roman Catholic meeting?
The Susan from the vestry, yeah, that sort of thing. Yeah, basically.
Yep. Well, because people forget, and that has a lot of sway over bishops, especially in a political context where the magistrate is not your arm of enforcement, right? So, like in a place like the Episcopal Church, because power really, without the magistrate to like force the people, if they're not going to church, you can be punished. Without that sort of thing, if they're not tithing, you can be punished. There is a real sense in which the power of the bishops now can be withdrawn through people ceasing to tithe, right? Yeah. And the weird thing that does is now the bishops have to figure out how to be politicians, and this is not just true in American Anglicanism, right? This is true of American Romanism. This is true of American Orthodoxy as well, because the magistrate enforces none of this, right?
Oh, that's Dominic. That's Dominic Foo's point with so his point with the Vatican is that the Vatican doesn't do anything against the German bishops because they have the money,
right?
They own the property. They own their own property.
They own their own property, right? And they get state funding, I believe. And then they don't do anything against China because China, like, she shows real power, like power. Okay, not like soft power, but like power, and not just money, but like I will.
You toe line or you die. That's his power.
Yeah, that type of power.
Bulldozing churches when they start making.
That's actually that's a direct quote, actually. from
What?
yeah, that's a
What?
direct quote.
Oh, yeah, probably.
Yeah,
And the SSPX has neither their not enough money, and then they don't have the Chairman Xi power, so
Yeah.
they get run roughshod over by the Vatican.
You'll get picture of G or you'll die. That's how
Yeah.
they just do it. They just go for it. They
well-
just full send it. Do what we want.
and that's well said, because it doesn't cost Rome as much to excommunicate the SSPX as it would
Exactly.
excommunicate.
It doesn't
the
cost
German
them
bishop.
anything. Yeah.
Right? And so,
very little. Very little.
or to like defrock Strickland or whatever, right, and just put another person there. It doesn't make as much of a hit to their wallets yet. And this is the implications of this are something I'm just still mulling over, of thinking through, like, man, maybe we all should have focused more on building the bonds of charity and and love, as that's the glue that holds the church together. But I don't have fully developed thoughts there, except to say there's a real tragedy in light of the concrete fact that often things like church discipline, whether it's in the Church of Rome or outside, or things like canonization in the Church of Rome, often depend on very funded processes, and that's unfortunate.
Yeah. And Jeff, the Mr. Baptist Jeff, I wonder on these matters of power and schism and fighting libtards, does that emerge much in your realm, or are you too much in, like, or is your congregation like maybe it's too independent, not part of a larger structure, or how's it look in your end?
So my personal church is a micro denomination, and by micro I mean it's literally 2 churches. It's a church and a sister church. So the thing really holding our church responsible is a plurality of elders and just a very rigid, old-fashioned conservatism that runs very deep. But we can see through history that situations like that only last for short periods of time. I mean, at the founding of my nation, the New England Covenanters who founded the northern half of the 13 colonies, they were extremely conservative. Like, I grew up fundamentalist. I still maintain most of my fundamentalist principles. And the things that they held to made me look askance at them and consider them radicals. And then you look, 100 years, 200 years down the line, where did they end up? And if you look at denominational liberalism in the United States, it came out of the descendants of those extremely conservative Anglicans and separatists that started those denominations in the Northeast. So it's not a long-term solution. It's working right now, but it's not a long-term solution. And I'm very, you were asking Paul earlier in the show, what's your position on like state church and things like that. And the more I study history, the more I realize that there are good and bad aspects to every form of how you want to set up your presbytery, whether you've got, an overarching bishop, whether that bishop is self-appointed, appointed by a council of elders, as in the Roman Catholic branch, or if he's appointed by the monarch, like in an Anglican church, or as Paul, you pointed out, in the Russian Orthodox Church. And each of these things have their pluses and minuses. It's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. And I don't know that any one is better than the other. What I think we really need to do is just know where we're at, realize where our weaknesses are, and do the best to fight against them. I'm in a Congregationalist church right now. I'm kind of fond of Congregationalism. I mean, I've got the American independent spirit. I'm a Texan. I love being free. And so I kind of lean that direction. But at the same time, I'll have a thought every once in a while, if we had a monarch, if we had a Protestant,
amen,
a Protestant, just dropping people out of helicopters, that would really fix it.
Oh, I was going to say Protestant Franco, but you went up to me with
well,
let's get rid of Allende.
I wasn't going to go full Spangler on you.
Pinochet. Okay? We need a Protestant Pinochet.
Spangler lives not too far from me. He's special.
Ooh, fun.
Hey, I
Fun.
like him. I like him.
That's
I can't stand him.
That's
No.
ladies and gentlemen, that's for the Rumble stream. But on the matter of what you were talking about, Geoffroy, it's where you say it's a question of what the times are. That is completely correct, and that's kind of where I've totally settled myself with political thought, where I do have a preferred system as like an ideal, but the perspective is like it's an ideal and it's assuming an ideal situation, but in reality, you can make or break basically any political system. And the actual grounding factor of whether it works is literally like, who are the people in power? That's it. Whether it's a monarchy, who's the monarch? Whether it's a parliamentarian system, who are the politicians there? Who's the prime minister? Or if it's an American system, who's the president? Who's the vice? So on and so forth. Or with the functional oligarchy, corporate oligarchy, who are the CEOs, basically. And so you can get, if you given any political system, if you have the right people according to your intended political ends in those critical positions of power, you can achieve whatever you want. And so in that regard, the specific political structure is actually a secondary concern at best. It's just who's in power. So we shouldn't. So I've stopped having the whole time wasting of like mulling over with my monarchist friends, like, oh, wouldn't it be great if we had a monarchy right now? Australia kind of sucks. I'm just like, well, we don't. And we have to deal with that. So how can we get good people in power in the system we do have? That's just it.
And if I can add something, that is the essence of actually being what's called a conservative. That, like, being a conservative is being anti-revolutionary. I need to add. I don't like the idea of a vast, very quick, wild change to the way sort of government happens, with small caveats, with exceptions, obviously. But in generally speaking, if we're going to make change, it should be a slow, well thought out way of changing society when it comes to like governance and such. Yeah. My thought.
Yeah, and if you look at the most successful revolutions, speaking politically, but this applies to the church as well. If you look at the most successful revolutions throughout history, they're always coming from a group who have kind of authority in their positions already, kind of almost like the doctrine of lesser magistrates. The United States Revolution is the best example, where the people who rebelled against the crown, which really it was a rebellion against the parliament, and the crown refused to stand in between them. But when the people who did that were already leaders in the New World, you know, it was people who already had political capital. They were able to execute that political capital to instill a revolution. It was not just, you know, Joe Schmo who works down at the Cotton Gin getting a bunch of guys together on Tuesday night, workers of the world unite. You know, that has very rarely ever been successful. And when it has been successful, it's always led to really bad outcomes. So one thing that we need to focus on is we need to get into positions of power. You know, if you don't like the way things are, you know, pull a page out of Gandhi's book, be the change you want to see, right? Get involved. Don't just be some limp-wristed weirdo who's going to spurg out on the internet all the time and call everybody else idiots because they don't agree with you on your minutia of your bizarre theories. You know, go make real friends in real power and try to influence them and try to insert yourself into the halls of power, because that's where the change is going to come from. Even in a revolution, even if a revolution cooks off, you know, if you're working your 9 to 5 and you don't have political connections, you're not going to be able to spend any political capital if you don't have it.
Here's an idea.
Geoffroy, I have to critique you quickly. You actually don't understand how critical it is that I actually debate the esotericism of Julius Evola with people online. That's actually how, when society collapses, my ideology is going to rise from the ashes. That's how it's going to happen.
Burn it all down, and then, you know, the mythical Phoenix will rise from the ashes. That has literally never happened.
Kyle, what's his name from South Park, the main kid, when he's in the gaming episode, the World of Warcraft, Cartman, that's it. when he's just super fat in the gamer chair, he's gonna be like, "The spirit of Adolf Hitler is gonna rise from the grave again." That's how half of these people think it's gonna happen.
Yeah, yeah. And
Someone's
even if
gonna
you look
quote
at him, I mean, he rose to power slowly through the political system and then took over.
Ironically, yeah. But yeah, Sean, what were you gonna say?
Oh no, someone's gonna take you out of context, Paul. Just quote that.
That's why he did the voice.
In my totally serious voice. In my totally serious voice, yes.
I think people underestimate. Like, I never hear like, you need to have a plan for evangelism. And who had probably the best book that probably ties like kind of. I don't know if I want to say Christian nationalist or something, but like at least taking over an area through evangelism as your primary starter was Doug Wilson's father. He wrote
Jim Wilson.
Jim Wilson wrote a book. What was it? Evangelism, Principles of War, or something. Let me find this. It's was it Principles of War or something with evangelism? Principles of War, yeah. A handbook on strategic evangelism. That was a good book where it was basically like, look, you're not going to take over New York City. So concentrate on taking over, like, say, your small college town that has an important college or something, but something that's manageable, or break it down into smaller pieces or something. Yeah.
Machiavellian political takeover of Little League.
But he was saying do it in terms of evangelism or whatever, how you do that in evangelism, and through evangelism you change the people, you change the character of society.
Yeah. I mean, like, as much as some of us, as someone myself who I happily adopt Christian nationalism, in the end, with respect to political aims, evangelism still is a tool for that. So even when we would say, like, look, it's not the totality of our tools, it's a mistake for any of them who try to, any of those on my side, so to speak, dismiss it entirely. Because in the end, like, no, how does anything and everything happen? Just to be technical about it, just to be a little nerdy about it, why does anything happen in human society? Because people have an intellect which they apply through their will. Okay, great. So what's going to happen if you change someone's intellect and their will to go another way? Things going to change. Okay, so what happens if you suddenly, for example, if successfully evangelized the king of Saudi Arabia and all the big princes who are the main power players? What do you think's going to happen? A lot of good stuff, actually. I mean, that's quite literally how the Christian Roman Empire emerged. It was through the conversion of key figures who then brought about change over time. And there was already enough of a base with respect to lay level evangelism. There was already enough of a base of Christians. It wasn't a majority of the empire, but a significant minority who helped to make that possible. So, yeah, absolutely. Evangelism is necessary, even for just political change.
That's funny. At some point we'll have to continue our conversation about about these matters. It is one of those places where I'm like, I don't know actually, Paul. What have you read? Jeremy Taylor's Liberty of Prophesying?
I have not, but I'll have to get back to you on that because we have another guest, people. Redeem Zoomer himself. Hello,
wow.
Azek, can you hear us?
How's it going? Yeah. Can you hear me? Hear me all right?
Yes, we can, my man. We can.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, congratulations on 10,000 subscribers. You've definitely earned it, and I hope to see your channel continue to grow.
Thank you so much, King.
Yeah. Right now, I'm traveling. Right now, I'm in South Carolina because I'm traveling to a PCUSA church to try and convince them to join my nonprofit. We got several churches joined so far, so I'm just going on tour, going to various PCUSA churches. So yeah. Where you guys?
Nice. I'm in the upstate.
Oh, you're in upstate South Carolina?
I'm near Greenville. Yeah, near Greenville.
Nice. Once every semester, I have to go to South Carolina for a week for my seminary, so I've been there a few times before.
Nice.
Also, the PFTK conference was there. But yeah, what were you guys just discussing when I just got on?
Well, before I mention that, do you know how I just realized you look like, Richard?
Who?
You look like the comedian Andrew Schultz.
I don't know who that is.
At that angle a little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
I think
I
so.
don't see that.
I think so. Let me pull up the picture right. It was specifically without the mustache. When he doesn't have the mustache, I'll pull up the perfect picture right now. I mean,
Okay.
it has a light mustache, but it still works. I'll show. We'll let the audience decide. What do you guys think? Is this a lost twin?
Is
What do you
that
guys
guy
think?
Jewish? Is that guy
Yeah.
Jewish though?
I think he is. I'm pretty sure
Well,
he is.
his name is Schultz, and he is a comedian. So I mean,
Okay, well, yeah, then there you go.
Let the audience. You know, I might put it up. I might put that up as an audience poll in just a
Yeah.
second.
It's the
but
hair.
in that regard, it's the hair, but I think it's
Well,
also
the
just
eyes.
general features as well. If you got rid of all the facial hair, I think it would be more obvious.
Yeah.
But just to get on what we we're talking about, just earlier, just as you came on, we were talking about matters of like achieving. What was it again? It started with the whole thing of like the actual power dynamics involved in ecclesiology, and how it's not just a matter of, oh, well, we have these principles and what have you. In the end, it is about a number of power dynamics, which is why for Romanism, for example, they can excommunicate the SSPX on a dime like that, because even though they're technically quite big, they're quite disenfranchised, but they can barely do anything against the German bishops, and they can do nothing against the Chinese government with their encroachments. And so, and that actually came from our earlier discussion where we were kind of having a critique of your arguments on schism, which Sean has engaged in as well through his article.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you heard of any of that.
I had a question for Sean.
Yeah.
So correct me if I'm wrong, Sean, but your main argument is that positive separation is not just warranted when the laity are bound to sin, but when the clergy are bound to uphold canons that are sinful, in your view, right? Am I correctly representing your argument?
Yeah, insofar as for them to do so would be sin. So for a clergy person to take an oath that they don't intend to uphold, that would be sin. And
Okay,
that's
so
incumbent on them to be
I've-
clergy in
I have some questions then.
jurisdiction.
So
Yeah.
do you think a positive separation was warranted immediately after Nicaea II then? Because the canons of Nicaea II are things most of us, I assume, would consider sinful.
Yeah, so the Council of Frankfurt so I actually think Charlemagne's efforts through the Council of Frankfurt were justified, right? In
I
resisting.
still need to send you my stuff on that, by the way, Sean. I
Well,
still need.
well,
I
me
just need to find
too.
it.
Well, me too. That's why it's thanks to the Council of Frankfurt and other successful attempts to resist Nicaea II that I think a positive separation wasn't immediately warranted.
Well,
But
so
go
remember my argument in the article is even if it is the case that the initial positive separation isn't warranted, at least Anglican ecclesiology, represented through Bishop Hammond, allows for this idea that even if the initial separation wasn't warranted, so let's say the Church of England had it been the case that the calumny that the Romanists repeat were true, that Anglicanism started with Henry VIII, right? Had that been the case, then Hammond's argument is that it would actually still be justified for the Church of England to then not rejoin Rome on account of there being genuine canonical and doctrinal barriers in that clergy they can't swear to uphold the false doctrines of Rome. So if that becomes then the new ground for not rejoining the Church of Rome, that's actually a legitimate way of repenting, that you might repent of the original error, but then now there are these other barriers that prevent you from rejoining. And so on account of those other barriers, you persist in the quote unquote schism, in the separation, unwillingly until those errors are removed.
Yeah, that makes sense. But after Nicaea II, it was the case that on paper, at least, it was not universally enforced, but it was the case that on paper, every bishop had to swear to uphold those canons. I think the problem with seeing these canons as absolute, like in the Reformed Church, we take good faith subscription to the Westminster Confession, for example. We've never held the view that swearing to uphold the discipline of the church means you swear to be absolutely loyal to every decision the church ever makes, because we understand the church can make the wrong choice. Because under that logic, if a church ever makes a sinful canon that would be sinful to uphold, then there's basically no way for the church to ever correct a false canon. So my question is, in your view, if the church ever makes a sinful canon, what is the mechanism for correction if all the bishops need to immediately schism off?
Yeah, I don't think there's an immediate obligation to schism off, but it
Well, then
becomes
when does it become?
so it becomes an obligation insofar as then they have to they find themselves that they have to actually act in order to uphold those canons. Or so, for instance, in the case of the Episcopal Church, right, they have to take the oath. So the issue there is a bishop cannot, in good conscience, take an oath to something they have no intention of upholding. Otherwise, that's just a lie. That might be different in Presbyterianism, but then at that point, I would say, okay.
Can I-
So then at
can
that
I-
point, I would say, so for instance, in the non-juring controversy, I would say those Anglicans were justified at that point, given that they couldn't take the oath oath of allegiance to the crown in good conscience.
After Nicaea 2, all the bishops also had to take an oath to uphold the canons. There was resistance, but it came many years later.
Yep.
So before
Yeah.
Frankfurt, in the interval before Nicaea 2 and Frankfurt, you had to have a system where bishops who thought Nicaea 2 was sinful could stay within the institution and work to reform it.
Right. So we would argue we would make
to
it
give,
really,
if I
really
may, Sean, quickly.
really quick. So
Sorry, go, Sean.
So we would want to distinguish between schism in and schism from, right? So we would actually say no. We would affirm positively those bishops have a right to make a separation, but the difference there would be we would see that as not a new separation, which is why part of the reason we hold to branch theory. Vernon Staley, right, and he's echoing James Ussher, he's echoing figures before him, makes the distinction between schism from the church, in which someone is either justly excommunicated or just positively chooses to separate without any sort of disciplinary process at all having been undergone. That would be genuinely schismatic, right? But then schism in the church is when a church then persists in its resistance, or a provincial body persists in its resistance, even if either it gets excommunicated or a church body organizes itself to persist in its resistance. We would say both of those are issues of schism in rather than schism from, with the guilt of schism lying on the person who imposes the unjust canons.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you can make that distinction, but I'm just wondering, do you think that any bishop who was being ordained after Nicaea 2, when Nicaea 2 was considered binding on bishops, do you think it was sinful for bishops to be ordained after that and swear to uphold the canons?
To swear to uphold the canons, yes, but I think the just a good thing. Well, no, actually, I just think that's historically false. The bishops who eventually go to the Council of Frankfurt do so precisely because they're making appeals, because they're resisting Nicaea 2. They're making appeals to Charlemagne, who ends up agreeing with the Frankfurtian bishops, and they do actually positively resist swearing to uphold the decisions of Nicaea 2.
Well, they're not swearing to uphold Nicaea 2 per se, but just swearing to uphold the discipline.
That's actually something that there's a distinction here that needs to be made.
Let's let Richard finish the point, and then I'll move to you, Geoffroy.
All right.
Yeah. Oh, my point was that they're not swearing to uphold Nicaea 2 per se, but they're swearing to uphold the canons of the church generally, and Nicaea 2 was included under that before appeals were made.
Okay, but you're making a parallel that doesn't necessarily exist, because Nicaea and Frankfurt occurred before the information age. I mean, it wasn't like they hit send and the email went out and everybody read it and understood it, and the people who were opposed to it were immediately opposed, and the people who were for it were immediately for it. These things took time to disseminate into the empire and into Christendom broadly. Whereas today we do live in the information age. So there enters a period after the canonization, after the establishment of certain doctrines and practices, where these things have to make their way out. Responses have to be penned and sent back, and the process of appealing a decision or making opposition to any new idea takes a lot more time than it does today, but it enters into that process. And that's what I think, Sean, you're getting to with your point of schism within versus schism without, which is, there is a period of time that's much less today, although it still exists, where that thing that has just been adopted now becomes debated, where, we had our debates in the council, but now we're going to have our debates outside of the council. That process has to be fully fleshed out.
But how long does it take these days? I mean, I know it's a shorter amount of time, but it's still an amount of time. So how long is it?
Well, if you're a Presbyterian, it takes forever.
Okay, well, what if you're an Episcopalian? You do things a lot faster than Presbyterians.
Yeah,
I actually don't know how it worked in tech in the old days. But maybe let's just say it's instant,
And it's like
right?
it took
Let-
a long
let's-
time
let's
for
grant
information
that-
to spread back then, but it didn't take 100 years. Within a few years of a decision, everyone who was in the need to know did know about something like that.
True, but
I will add though, with the parallel with Nicaea 2 is not the best because in terms of its obliging force, well, for one, its immediate obliging force wasn't actually across. I mean, it did intend to settle something for Christendom worldwide, but in terms of its actual immediate obliging force, it was only fundamentally Byzantine law. So its immediate effect was in the Byzantine Church, enforced there, and they still had after it the second iconoclast period with many bishops trying to and emperors opposing. Not many emperors, but I think at least one, opposing Nicaea 2 after the fact in the East, and only afterwards it got reasserted. Whereas in the West, you have the support of certain bishops, most importantly, the Pope of Rome. But the most important thing is that the councils like Frankfurt were able to happen precisely because there wasn't some insertion into a pan-Western canon law that enforced Nicaea 2 on everyone. The Pope of Rome, most important bishop there, did affirm it, but it wasn't it wasn't as such like promulgated as binding upon everyone.
Well,
that to resist it was schismatic. So
I'm aware of that.
Even had count.
I'm aware of that. That's basically why I say schism was not warranted from the church immediately after, because it was possible to resist. It was possible to appeal.
And it was possible for a bishop to actually not be to just not have to, in order to be a bishop, swear to Nicaea 2. That was actually possible for a while. I would say the moment it became such that then they had to take an oath that they don't intend to uphold. Well, then actually separation would. So let's just grant that, like for the sake of argument, right, that it's instant. As soon as a bishop or a clerk, for us, I'm just going to speak in terms of bishops. In terms of as soon as a bishop is obligated to take an oath that they don't actually have an intention of upholding, that's when a positive separation is justified, because they cannot be obligated to sin.
So in the East, when it was implemented in the Byzantine Empire, did a positive separation immediately become warranted?
Yes.
In the Byzantine Empire.
Yes,
I
but
would
it
say
couldn't
so.
because of the
I'd
emperor.
say.
It's
Right.
a
But
different
it couldn't have
situation.
happened though, because they would have just been deposed by force. Like they physically wouldn't have been able to set up a parallel structure.
But in terms of the principles, yes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I understand that. Do you think
And
that
it would have
it's
been, and then
if-
the church that excommunicated them would have begun a schism in, rather than a genuine schism from.
Okay, so in a church where the decisions are immediately binding, is there then any way to correct sinful canons?
I think as soon as the canon becomes, as soon as a clergy person is obligated to uphold something they don't believe, then at that point they can separate. Now, what would be the mechanism to remedy that? It might be incumbent on laity in order to protest the clergy. So laity who are staying there, who don't have to take an oath in that way, right? They could potentially stay.
Okay, but laity aren't the shepherds. It's like laity can resist, and God works through that. But it's the clergy's job to be shepherds of the Church of God, as Acts
Right.
20
Well,
says.
and that's why I think at that point, as soon as you do that, there's unfortunately there's already a schism that's been started there.
So one of the arguments for
remedy it.
Protestantism is we have mechanisms of correction, and if that's the case, then there's no mechanism of correction on a clergy level. If the clergy make a final decision, or not a final decision, but a binding decision that is false.
I would disagree. First of all, some of the mechanisms of correction there would be, for instance, bottom up. Secondly, through whatever sister body then refuses to uphold those canons, constantly witnessing to the original to repent.
All right, real quick, guys.
Sorry, Father James, real quick. Are you going to say? It looked like
I'll
you.
let Father James.
Yeah.
I'll let Father James say something, and then Zuma, you can give the final word on this issue, and then we can just go back to talking about whatever. But before we get to you, Father James, super chat. Thank you so much, Prodigal Purple Prophet. whatever that means. Here is the thing we all keep forgetting: the heart of God. We all keep forgetting the heart of God, as He demonstrated when He dwelt among us. There is just no way that most naive Christians are in genuine grave sin in the eyes of God on the basis of schism. I would personally agree. More true in ancient times, less true today, but still by and large true, in my opinion, and it's because of that information technology issue. But yeah, I'd largely agree on that thing, and I actually want to develop that as a line of argument on the absurdity of ecclesialist paradigms with regard to schism and the alleged damnation it conveys basically upon everybody involved,
Yep.
even
Just
those who don't know of it.
Just
Yep.
like for clarification, do you think schism applies to non-denominational churches?
Me or Paul or James?
Either one. Like, well, Paul, what do you think?
Honestly, I have to read context. I really
Yes.
do. It gets
it's a-
far harder. It gets far harder when we're talking about like multiple generations now, where now the original reasons of like, wait, why are we non-denoms again? Where that stuff's kind of forgotten for many of them. I think it gets really complicated. Ordinarily, though, at their inception, I would say yes.
Okay.
But yeah. So here's what we'll do. Goy for Jesus, you say something, then Father James, and then Zuma, you get the
All right,
last
two
one.
things. So just on that one point, like I think the New Testament more directly would apply on these relevant passages to a congregational model, as opposed to a modern denominational model, where an individual church would be experiencing some sort of schism. So that I think, you would. A non-denominational church is generally is following a congregational model. Second thing I would mention, just a historical thing that goes off of Sean's point, was that Jewish believers stayed in the synagogue until they were mandated to an oath. I think it was something. It was with my Jewish Hebrew pronunciation is going to be off here with them condemning the minim, M-I-N-I-M. I know how to spell it at least. Minim, maybe. And that once they were required to do that, basically a condemnation of Christians, that was kind of like the final break where the Jewish Christians had to leave the synagogue.
Just a 2-second clarification. I agree that that's the line for schism for laity, just not clergy. But go on.
Yeah, no, that's all I wanted to mention. Just that as kind of a historical note.
Great.
All right, Father James.
Yeah, Richard, if you can give me a clarification on your position, just to flip it over back to you. I'm presuming you would not promote the idea that we should swear false oaths, right? So what would you do in that situation?
No, I do think that there's different ways to interpret oaths. I do think that interpreting an oath in a way that might be different than how some people intend it is not sinful. Rahab was a spy. You should not lie. But I think I've looked into the canons. I think there are non-sinful ways to interpret it and swear to it. And also we swear to the canons of the church insofar as they follow scripture. And I think that if you have a rigid view where when you swear to the canons generally, you must be swearing to uphold every element of them as intended. That leaves no mechanism for correction. I think there is a possibility of civil disobedience within the church hierarchy, as long as you are allowed to still be in the church hierarchy. But I think what I'd really say, like my main point is that let's say all the clergy are actually bound to sin and you cannot be a clergyman without sin. From a Presbyterian perspective, I still don't think that warrants a separation, because from a Presbyterian perspective, that's exactly what happened to our divines. They were removed from their position under King Charles I for not recognizing bishops, not recognizing the king as the head of the church. They were fired, but even during that context, Rutherford
Memory
says...
eternal. Just kidding. My bad.
Yeah. Even during that context...
You have a different opinion of St. Charles. St. Charles the Martyr.
Yeah, a lot of people... That's fine. A lot of people think Rutherford was... a lot of people think like the OPC was justified because Machen was defrocked. He was fired, but not excommunicated. Well, Rutherford was defrocked and banished to like an island off the Arctic coast of northern Scotland, but was not excommunicated. So from the Presbyterian perspective, and Rutherford says this, The clergy being bound to sin would not warrant a separation, only if the laity are. That's the biblical example that a Goy for Jesus brought up. So that's what I'd say. Now, wait,
So-
one more. Sorry, go on.
Well, for clarification, just to get deeper into it, because I think it's more than just the question of paying lip service to something. With the Episcopal Church, Middle Tennessee's episcopate is now open. There's a new one coming. Bauerschmidt is retiring. So let's say I decide I wanted to try out for that in my ego and all. I would have to not only just sort of give lip service to women's quote ordination, I would actually have to be quote ordaining women to the diaconate, to the priesthood, and maybe participating in consecrations of women, quote, to the episcopate. That goes beyond paying lip service. That's now an actual act of sin.
Do they have like a none shall compel clause? Because in the Presbyterian Church, nobody is compelled to perform an ordination that their conscience doesn't let them.
Yeah, that as far as my understanding is with the Episcopal Church, that is not the case.
Now, I've heard that in the Episcopal Church, a bishop does not have to participate in the ordination of a woman. He just has to like refer her to a different diocese or something.
Okay, okay, guys. Very last thing, Father James, you say what you want, and then Zuma, you get the last word, and then I don't know if you can stick around, Zuma. That'd be awesome, and then we'll move on because I got one or two other people who want to join in as well, and I want to introduce them.
Yeah, I've heard the exact opposite from multiple Episcopal friends of mine who are more conservative than liberal and all that sort of stuff. Because I was asking these questions when I was in seminary to my Episcopal friends who were in seminary with me because they were trying to convince me to become an Episcopalian, and I was like, are there dioceses that don't have women's quote ordination? I'm like, no, every single one of them has it. It's required. There might be a sort of similar canon like the one recently that came out like 7 years ago where you have to have an alternate bishop overseeing the gay quote marriage if it's happening in your diocese. But to me, that is not even that's rearranging chairs on the Titanic, if that's the correct metaphor.
Yeah. So
Zuma this is the final statement, Zuma.
Yeah. So if hypothetically every bishop in the Episcopal Church is bound to sin, I still don't think that warrants a positive separation if the laity are not bound to sin. Otherwise, there would be no means of correction. But in the Presbyterian context, when Father James asks, what do I mean by like not entirely upholding the canons? So the Presbyterian Book of Order says things that are clearly intended to promote gay marriage. It says marriage is defined as between two people, traditionally a man and a woman. And it says you cannot discriminate based on sexuality. Now, I understand that the majority of the people who were involved in the writing of that probably intended for that to mean what you think it means. But it wouldn't violate my conscience to swear to uphold the Book of Order, insofar as it follows Scripture. And I can interpret those in orthodox ways. I can say, yeah, marriage is between two people, traditionally a man and woman. It's also still a man and a woman. I can say, yeah, I'm not going to discriminate against people because of their sexual orientation. I'm not going to like hold up my middle finger at someone because they're gay or anything. I'm going to I support gay marriage. I support gay men marrying gay women. I'm not going to prevent a man from marrying a woman. I do not discriminate against gay people. I'm going to let a gay man marry a woman the same way I'd let a straight man marry a woman. So. True. Like what I'm saying is, if it is possible to find a loophole, you should find a loophole. Not because I think schism is warranted if you can't, but because I think schism isn't warranted anyway. So you should do whatever you can to try and reform the church. So it might seem like the rules are against you, but because of my ancestry, Hava Naglia plays, I think trying to find loopholes is the best solution.
Now, okay, so that was the end of that. JP, I'll bring you on in just one moment, but I want to add one thing here where, on the one hand, in terms of the principles, I think Sean is right on the issue, but Zuma or Richard, I'll say Richard because you're a human after all, you bring up that excellent point on how, well, in the end, oaths are part of a whole matrix of language games, basically. And if they have objective content, so to speak, then you can actually find loopholes. And people saying, oh, but it was intended this way. You can say, but I wasn't told to uphold that. One of the few extremely effective anti-loophole mechanisms I've seen actually was in my research for my response to Cleave to Antiquity when I was reading all those documents, especially translated ones from Tsarist Russia. And in the oath, which I actually read in full on the video, which which Cleave conveniently skipped over, in the oath of members for the Most Holy Synod, so the highest governing body for the Russian Orthodox Church set up by Peter the Great, in the oath, it specifically says at the end, not verbatim, but literally, but this in actual essence, I swear this oath with the intent that according to the meaning that will be received by those who hear my oath. So according to how the public, the church, the clergy, the authorities, according to how they would understand the oath, that is what I swear to. And so that basically nullifies almost all potential loopholes in that kind of way. But as far as I'm aware, modern oaths don't tend to take that kind of thing. And so Zuma has a great point where you can find loopholes and exploit that.
And I think if you can't find a loophole, then you're not bound to sin. Anyway, we can move on.
Yeah. All right. Another guest here, JP. Hello. I think this is the first time. How are you going, mate?
Hey, God bless you. I was ironically speaking to Father James today privately via back and forth. I was kind of picking his brain, asking him some questions about Anglicanism, if you will.
Nice.
Yes, we were having good conversations regarding that. But I just wanted to congratulate you, man, on your 10,000. I know you're going to get another 10,000 way faster than you got to your initial 10,000 because now you have the ball rolling. You know, so
that's it.
So yeah, man. But I do have a couple of more questions. If this is that kind of stream where we could like ask you questions, is that fine?
Chew the fat, all that. Yeah.
Perfect. All right, cool. So I wanted to ask you guys in short. So I spoke to Father James. Father James broke this down very beautifully. So my main question is this. What made you, because it seems like it's interesting to me that historically both the Eastern Orthodox Church and the Anglican Church was part of the Catholic Church. So what kind of sparked the divide historically? Because I've heard Eastern Orthodox share this, and I just don't believe anything they say. That's just me. I'm sure there are honest Eastern Orthodox out there, but if you guys follow me on Twitter, and you guys you see what I deal with every day. But my question to you guys, and finally I'll get to speak to Anglicans, and Anglicans can tell me their version because you guys seem a little bit more honest. What caused the separation between the Eastern Orthodox and the Anglicans? Because I did hear you guys weren't communing at a point, and then you guys kind of divided. So what was the deal with that?
Yeah. So I hear a number of questions there. So, and Paul, Father James, I'm sure you guys can fill in some of these gaps. So first, in what sense were we part of the Church of Rome? Now, the reason I use the Church of Rome language is because we actually still think of ourselves as part of the Catholic Church. That's not merely terminological, right? We really do, as Anglicans, believe that there is a institution called the Catholic Church that was that really was one. So when we confess one holy Catholic and Apostolic Church, we really are confessing that there is an entity, a visible entity, that is the same entity that was confessed at Nicaea. Our affirmation is that in history, that entity over time suffered wounds to her unity and then siphoned off into branches. Let me sorry to interrupt you, brother. Mm-hmm. So let me say this. So you're not similar to the Sedevacantists, I think they call them, the guys that believe that the Pope's seat has. You're a little different than that, correct? No, we think the Bishop of Rome is still the Bishop of Rome. We think that he overstepped his jurisdiction. Okay. Usurped jurisdiction that doesn't properly belong to him.
If I could add some part to that real quick.
So what would be the difference then? So, sorry for interrupting. This is very fascinating.
So the Sedevacantists will say that there is established by Christ himself an office of the papacy that starts from St. Peter. Right? They say that is true, that came from Christ himself, but it is empty right now. All right? We are saying there is no papacy established by Christ himself. So any hierarchy that has a greater respect for the Bishop of Rome is a man. I don't want to say man-made tradition in the necessarily pejorative sense, but it is a tradition that can be laudable. Like we have more respect for particular people and offices and things like that, but it does not come from Christ. So there's a major difference between the Sedevacantists and Anglicans or Eastern Orthodox. Well, depends on which Eastern Orthodox you talk to, but yeah.
Yeah, and then secondly, we would, to add to that, we would say that there is a legitimate Bishop of Rome. We don't think the See of Rome is empty. We think that Pope Leo XIV really is the Bishop of Rome. But our claim is that he overstepped his bounds, or the papacy rather overstepped its bounds, and usurped power that didn't properly belong to it. And on that account, we see ourselves as continuing on, reformed by the gospel, but nevertheless continuing on the patrimony of the Catholic Church that comes through England. That's not just an Anglo-Catholic. I used to think that was an Anglo-Catholic telling, and then when I read the sources, I was like, that's just completely wrong. That actually is how, like, Richard Hooker narrates our history. We really do think of ourselves as the Catholic Church whose patrimony is through England, reformed by the gospel, which is why our moniker, our self-designation was Reformed Catholic.
So hypothetically speaking, there is a chance that, and this is hypothetical, but in your worldview, and even in mine, because it is hypothetical in mine, whereas I think that maybe, do you guys hold to the beliefs that maybe the Pope or a Pope will repent and say, I have done wrong?
We'd love that.
You think that's a possibility,
that
or are you past that?
I don't know if it's a possibility. It would be a joy. It would be what we want, and we would happy. I mean, a lot of our writers, right, even concede a kind of primacy to the Bishop of Rome as a universal pastor, as something that the Church could actually concede and decide, just as we decided over time, as a matter of ecclesiastical law, to have archbishops. We could, as a matter of ecclesiastical law, have the Bishop of Rome as the chief pastor. And that would be amazing. We would actually love that, but that would take a lot.
Yeah, many of the Anglicans I know, who I talk with about this sort of thing, would agree with me on that. Like, if I could just snap my fingers and make the Church all reunited and all that sort of stuff, I'm not only perfectly fine with, but I kind of would prefer a bishop who is sort of like the presiding bishop over the Church.
Who can call the bishops.
Yeah. What other better city than Rome?
Right.
You know, I can't think of a better. So.
Yep. Yeah. Well said.
I'm Presbyterian, but I'll throw my 2 cents in here. So I think, and especially since I've been doing Catholic apologetics for a long time, so I think it would be better to view it kind of like as a river flowing downstream or something that goes into like different branches or whatever. So the city Vacantus or Vacantus or however you want to pronounce it. So you have everything that kind of happened during the Reformation. Then the stream that is Rome kind of did their thing. They've had changes since the Council of Trent, and then in the late 19th century they did Vatican I, which kind of makes it hard for them to kind of, as they've modernized and have gotten more liberal, a lot of the Vatican I claims, I don't know if they really believe in them anymore, or at least the trads do. And I think the best way to think of the Sede Vacantis is that they see the errors, they see the inconsistencies between, say, the 19th century or before and what modern Rome believes, and kind of what
just become Anglicans then.
Well, no, but that's the thing, is they still believe in the papacy, right? So, and not just a papacy. Like, I mean, I theoretically would be okay with a papacy as just a construct that we agreed on, but not one that's divinely instituted. And maybe that would be okay with the Anglicans here. I don't know. Where we say, okay, yeah, we'll have a papacy, but we're not going to pretend this is like set up by God or something like that.
Yeah.
So they believe that, okay. And so what you have is kind of like, so I think most of your magisterium just doesn't care for Rome. That's my hunch. But what you have is like, so for the traditional Catholics who aren't Sede Vacant, Sedes, they recognize that, if the Sedes are true, then the Roman Catholic claims are false. And then the Sedes are like, well, if that Pope is still valid, then all those changes since Vatican I, all those Vatican II changes means Rome is false. And I think they're both right, is that Rome is false. And that they have a shared false presupposition that Rome is correct. But they're looking at the data and they don't know how to... it's a presuppositional problem. They don't know how to make sense of everything that's coming at them that's falsifying their paradigm. So they don't know how to handle it. That would be the way I would interpret what's going on.
Yeah, this is very interesting because it seems like Anglicanism has the history there and all of these things. It's just I'm wondering why it's not as popular as Eastern Orthodoxy. Because it makes sense. It makes sense.
Don't confuse online with the real world.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
there's also that.
Yeah, that's
but
a big
no,
one.
I do think the fair point to say is in the past century, this is what I've been trying to remedy, and Father James and other Paul have been trying to remedy. The past century has been a century where we as Anglicans just have to own up to abjectly failing to steward our history. Right. So the reason why, like, even though I do think the answers we give are more cogent, I think you actually have everything that people going to the Rome and the East are looking for in traditional Anglicanism. But the problem is right now, traditional Anglicanism has been buried so much underneath people just like not attending to our sources, underneath Sarah Mulali, right, claiming to be an Anglican and yet saying like, oh, well, actually, like consensus doesn't really matter and the Bible's not inerrant, or like our so-called Archbishop Catherine Jeffries of the Episcopal Church saying like Paul oppressed like the slave girl by casting out the demon from her. Like just like crazy stuff like that. So like what we have on our hands is kind of a mess of our own making of the past century, prior generations abjectly failing to steward our resources. Where now I'm taking people through Richard Hooker and they're like, I can't believe I've never been taught this stuff. And like it was standard in the 19th century for our clergy to have read like all of this stuff. So that's why it's because right now Anglicans, we're doing this work right now of trying to recover the heritage we buried.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, I think that if this history, because that's what the EO do well, although they misrepresent their history and a lot of, and again, that's just, I don't speak for anybody here. I think a lot of these guys are liars. I think that they're liars. That's what, not all of them, but a lot of them. And so they give you this fool's gold of a misrepresentation of their doctrines, their history, and all of these things. And that's where they're really getting very popular from what I can see, until you cross-examine and you see how much of a liar these guys are, a lot of them. But I think if Anglicanism would be able to do that and retrieve that element of their history that they have, and even get more creators to go out there and get an honest version of a Jay Dyer, if that makes sense, I think that you guys can really blow up, because this is very fascinating. And I didn't even know about you guys like that. Like, that's the interesting thing. I didn't even know. It's just, because in New York City, in New York City, you have the Catholic Church and you have some Eastern Orthodox Church, but I've never seen an Anglican church in my life.
Hey, JP, are you in New York City?
There is.
Yes, I have.
I work in New York City Monday to Thursday. Maybe we should hook up sometime.
No, yeah, for sure, man, for sure. I might actually.
Get my contact info from Paul. Whereabouts are you in the city?
I'm in Queens.
Oh,
Oh.
I'm in Manhattan. I'm not going there. No, I'm joking.
No. But I sometimes, yeah. But sometimes
yeah,
I go
Anyway,
to Times.
you on the island anyway.
Yeah, sometimes I go to
so-
Times Square. Sometimes I go to Times Square and I do a little bit of evangelism there and things like that. So I might do that again soon. So if I
Okay,
do,
yeah.
shoot me a
Alright, so
follow on
Fox-
Twitter.
So Father James, something to say, and then we have Colin from Nicaea 3. I'm going to bring him on after Father James says what he needs.
I do have to get going soon. But I just want to leave off with a few points if that's all right. So first one is Sean might be able to answer this, but I think the ACNA is growing pretty strongly. There's a lot of growth in the ACNA.
Yeah.
The sort of standard relatively conservative Anglican church in the United States, well, in North America, but yeah. Anecdotally, my church
The most
here-
conservative. The most conservative.
Well, I was trying to figure a way to say it in a non-pejorative but also honest way, unlike some anyway.
No, it's true. I accept that.
I'm it's not so much at you, it's at someone who likes to cleave to dishonesty. Anyway,
Yeah,
the second part is just anecdotally, this is I'm giving my church experience, but I've seen this with other local parishes. Our church here, we started with about 10 people when I got here, and this past Sunday, 53 for mass. So that's within
That's
2
awesome.
years or so.
I didn't know
Yeah.
that, Father James.
So-
That's so cool. Wow, that's awesome. Wow.
It's continual growth.
Praise
Just
Lord.
a lot of
There you
growth.
go. There you go.
And I've seen that's I'm giving that example to pat myself on the back, but also to because that's the one I know. But also I know that with other parishes, the parish that's about an hour away, same idea. It keeps growing. They're adding another service. So like it's growing all over where I've seen faithful traditional Anglicanism is growing. The other part is there was another part I completely forgot. I'm sorry. Honesty, I think if I recall correctly. I actually myself in college was looking at Eastern Orthodoxy, and for me, one of the reasons I could not become Eastern Orthodox was I was being required to believe things that I could not in good conscience believe. Now, when I talked to a lot of the parishioners, that is not how they understood the faith. When I talked to some of the clergy, they would kind of hem around it and be like, oh, well, we know where the church is, but we don't know where the church isn't. So, just because your grandmother died outside of the Eastern Orthodox Church, there's a good chance she's still in heaven or she's in heaven and all that sort. But like
If she can make it past the toll house.
Yeah, if she can make it past the toll houses, yeah.
Father James, let me ask you one last question before I head out, and I'm gonna head out.
Okay, yeah, and then Colin, I'll bring you on right after this. Promise.
Yeah, and I'll just leave. Just wanted to ask you, Father James, are you required in your church as a dogma to believe the perpetual virginity is Mary sinless, things like that? Like, is that a requirement, or is those conversations you can have within the church? Some can believe it, some can't. Have open dialogue. How do you guys see that?
Yeah, good
So
question.
confessionally we're actually not allowed to believe in the sinlessness of the Blessed Virgin. There is an article that deals implicitly with that by explicitly saying Christ alone is without sin. That's article in the teens, I think, the late teens. But also the perpetual virginity of Mary is not a dogmatic statement for us, but I know very few clergy who would deny it within the Anglican tradition. And that even goes with some of my more reformed Anglican friends. So it is not a dogma. I would never, and I've talked to parishioners and such about this, I would never deny communion to somebody who rejects the perpetual virginity of the Blessed Virgin. But it is something that is generally believed and accepted within the tradition of Anglicanism.
Thank you for that.
And all of our early writers affirmed it. So like for us, we distinguish between matters of human law and doctrine, and matters of human law and human doctrine, which we actually we have a category for human doctrine that we would still accept. So for instance, even if someone thought the episcopacy wasn't ordained of the apostles, there's debate on that in the Anglican tradition. It's still a doctrine we would say that definitely has its force minimally from the law of the church. We would say that almost, I think all of our early writers actually affirmed the perpetual virginity. So Richard Hooker affirmed it, Thomas Cranmer affirmed it, all the way through John Cosson, all the way through, of course, Anthony Stafford, William Law. So like there's a massive, Richard Field, like a massive tradition of our writers affirming the perpetual virginity on the authority.
Real quick, Sean,
but not as a matter of revelation. Yeah.
I've got to call the stream. I've got to call the stream within 14 minutes. Because I've actually got a follow-up stream with a Goy for Jesus. We're going to be reacting to some slop, so that's going to be very fun.
Right.
So yeah, that's going to be awesome. I want to bring on Colin.
Thank you for having me, Paul. Other Paul. Thank
God
you guys.
bless JP.
Thank you guys
I know you've wanted to have me on. So let's keep in contact. God bless, man.
For sure. God bless.
JP, I just
God bless.
messaged you on X.
Sweet. All right. Nice to see you. 3. What's up, man? Good to see you.
What's up, Paul? Hey, man. Congrats on 10K, bro. Sorry if I'm outside and it's
Huge
windy,
thanks.
so sorry if it's kind of noisy. But anyways,
Are you in
congrats,
California?
bro. What'd you say?
Are you in California?
No, I'm in Colorado, bro. So,
Okay.
but it's storming out here right now at the lake. But anyways, dude, congrats, Paul. Huge congrats
Huge
on 10K,
thanks.
man. That's a big deal. All right, man. Yeah. Anyways, I don't want to. I have a few thoughts, but I don't know if I don't want to hop in too much. So,
Please.
cool. Well, I guess I'll start by saying one thing. Big news out of the ACNA today. I don't know if you guys saw, but
I
Bishop
did.
Ryan Reed from Fort Worth
Yep.
got appointed the assistant dean,
Yeah.
which is a huge deal.
Good news. It's
So I was
good
pretty
news.
hyped about that.
Yeah.
Secondly, Father James, it's great to meet you, man. I know we've never met, so forgive me. This is the
We
first
need
thing I'm
to-
going to say. I would respectfully disagree about the Immaculate Conception. I do think the Anglicans can hold that. There's actually an official document promulgating acceptance of it from 2005 in the Anglican Communion, but that's for another time.
Buddy.
Oh man.
Ooh.
But anyways, I know I'm starting a fire here, guys. But then third, I just wanted to say more pertinently, you know what's fascinating? When you guys are throwing around this concept of the Bishop of Rome being like a true primus inter pares, but in a sense where our bishops are allowed to have their own like authority. Actually, this is something that's already being pushed forward by the Vatican. So it goes back to 30 years, the Unum Seat from the year 1995, which Pope St. JP2 put out, kind of asking, like, how could the papacy be amenable? And after 30 years of reflection, in the last couple of years, they put out a document called the Bishop of Rome. I'm going to be doing more work on it here soon. But basically, it envisions a rewording of Vatican I to make the papacy more like what you guys are talking about. So I just wanted to throw that out there. I actually think that has a lot of weight and clout. And some of the best minds in the Anglican world, like the canon theologian from Westminster Abbey, has like been to the Angelicum to talk about this. And so there's just a lot of interesting work on that front. Just throw out. But anyway, there's me hopping in to throw in a firestorm, bro. But happy 10K, Paul.
Really quick.
Huge thanks, Colin.
Colin, I want to try to do a collab with you as well sometime. That'd be awesome. But I have to get going. I have to dog sit, and I'm already behind. So I have to head back to that house and do some dog sitting. All right. Hope you all have a good night. Congratulations, Paul. Hope you have a good
Thank you, Father.
morning, day, whatever it is over there. Peace.
Peace out, Father James.
Peace. Thank you so much, Father James. Huge thanks. And quick, a go for Jesus. I don't know if you had the idea, if you wanted to open up like your call. This is just on the spot because I know you only sent it to me. But if you wanted to open up the invite for the Cold React stream next to anyone else or just us two.
No, anybody can. It's the Bertruzzi dilemma. Now,
The
we
West
need to
Huff
find
one, I believe. It's
the West
it's
Huff
that?
one, yeah. Like either the New Roman Catholicism, or I guess you don't have a New Testament. You know what? I'll put the StreamYard link in the private chat we have here. Also, in a week or two, I think we should do what we were thinking of, which is react to a video about whether the CIA MK Ultra the Dolphins.
Yes.
So I think
Jeff, you want to join that?
The
other
that
Jeff,
is
Jeff
right
Green.
up my alley, man.
Okay, we'll do that.
Right, we can get-
is Friday night.
we
Is
can get
next
this-
Friday night good, or do we want to do something else? We'll work on it behind the scenes.
I'm good.
Well, hey,
I'm good.
I might. Well, if the offer's open, I might I might join you brothers a little bit later. Maybe I'm gonna go whack some weeds at this time of night, and yeah.
Too
then I
easy.
might-
I think we're going to start in like 15 minutes or so.
Yeah,
Okay,
get it
we'll see if I
done
can
when
get
it's
it
not
easy.
blazing hot outside. Yeah,
Yeah,
you're a smart
exactly.
man.
That's why it's
Yeah.
dark and cool. And yeah.
No,
So you
but
guys-
next
so you guys have
next
a-
week or two, I think we should do the MK Ultra, the
Yes.
Dolphins one.
Oh,
if-
yeah.
That'd be
You
mad.
could also
That
do
would be
the
that.
Yeah. The reaction to the Wes Huff Bertuzzi thing, that's the one happening right after this. I want
Yeah,
to
I'll-
end 5
I'll
minutes
try to-
before it just so I can get some stuff.
I'll try to whack the weeds and then see if I can join you guys.
Yeah, okay. I
Heck
put
yeah,
in
that'd
our
be
private
sweet.
chat. I put the StreamYard
Cool.
link.
No,
Yeah,
it's
I
epic.
mean,
Yeah, if you, Paul, if you want to send that in the Discord, that'd be great.
yes, can do.
All right, awesome. See you, brothers.
Take care.
Peace out. Thank you so
Peace
much,
out,
Sean.
Sean.
Too easy. Too easy. And
Basically, I
Jeff, so
think
Jeff,
they wanted
how'd you,
the Dolphins to spy and also to run drugs. Is I think what's going on.
Yeah, I mean,
That's what
we
you
know
told
the
me.
Soviets did it. The question is just, did the CIA do it, and how successful were they?
Well, there's probably another thing. With the I know they were into remote viewing and stuff for the Soviets.
Oh, we were doing that too. Yeah,
Yeah.
Mhm. Both sides
Or
were.
no, against the Soviets. And I don't know if there was like rumors that the Soviets were doing it or something like that.
Yeah, well, we know that they were trying to, but I don't know how successful they were. Are you familiar with the Haunted Cosmos podcast that the Ogden Boys do?
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, they talk about some remote viewing stuff that people were trying to do, specifically out in eastern Russia. They had a location where they had like two brothers who were twins or something like that, and separated them and communication. So yeah, there's lots of weird stuff going on. And but
so
thankfully
just
they've
for you guys
stopped.
having-
Thankfully they don't do any of that anymore.
Oh yeah, no, totally. Our government's very righteous. So just as a thing, you guys haven't met before this, have you?
No.
Oh, this is a match
I'm going
made
to
in
change
heaven
my
because-
thing again. Hold on a second.
Because both of you guys I know are big into the paranormal, cryptid, government stuff. You're both
Oh yeah.
big into that. And Geoffroy, if you look at Jeff's channel, A Goy for Jesus, you'll find a bunch of stuff like UFOs, Bigfoot. You'll find all that stuff.
Fatima is a UFO incident.
Yeah.
I wonder what Colin, what do you think of that? Of Fatima being a UFO incident?
UFO stuff? Oh man, I don't know. Be honest, I'm not a big aliens guy, you know.
Oh, I didn't say
Even though I
aliens.
have spent time in the big alien city in New Mexico. It's pretty sweet.
Yeah,
That's
Roswell.
sweet.
Mhm.
I didn't say they
Yeah,
were
sorry, I've
aliens.
led youth groups to Roswell. It's pretty sweet. You walk
Yeah.
around and there's like aliens on the McDonald's, man. So I guess in that way, I've seen a UFO.
That's sick. But Goy for Jesus said it's a good point. He said UFO, but that doesn't necessarily mean alien. It just means unidentified flying object, or the more popular term now, unidentified aerial phenomena. And that could be aliens, or it could be, well, it's just unidentified artifacting, or it could be a paranormal incident, or extremely advanced human tech. Could be a number of things. The Nephilim, as the chat says right here, could be them. Who knows? The Anunnaki. all that jazz. I've actually been getting big onto that issue again on extraterrestrial intelligence and Christianity. I literally just bought a book. Oh, I don't have it up here. I just bought a
Father
book
James would
by an
like
Anglican
that,
priest. It's by an Anglican priest actually in the UK, who's also a Cambridge professor, called Astrobiology, and the whole thing is trying to give like a Thomistic account for how we can reconcile extraterrestrial beings, like intelligences and civilizations, with Christianity. And it even has like a whole first chapter on like the history of extraterrestrial speculation from ancient times and even through the ancient and medieval church. It's the sources that he brings up for that are fascinating, really, really fascinating.
Yeah, I
But
mean,
yeah.
I've read the C.S. Lewis's Space Trilogy. I mean, there's an Anglican tradition for that for sure.
Yep. Righty.
I do. Very
Big
cool.
boy, full set. It's a very nice one, actually, from one of the local
Hardcover.
Christian bookshops here. Yeah, exactly, from one of the local Christian bookshops here, Coorong. A lot of hidden gems at that place.
Mhm.
I still haven't
Yeah,
read it though. Still gotta read it.
Amazon.com has really killed the Christian bookshops, at least here.
Oh, when
in
I
Texas, they're
first
just-
became a Christian in
Yeah.
1992, I used to love going to my Christian bookshop and going upstairs and listening to the Christian bands and stuff like that. Like, and even like some of the relatively indie stuff, like the Christian rock bands and stuff like that. And man, that is all gone. It was really nice. I mean, the internet, don't get me wrong, is a blessing. You can find books you would never find in an old Christian bookstore, but like, it's a shame they went away.
Yeah. Unfortunately, Amazon has killed the Christian bookstores, but all the gay bookstores seem to still be open.
Curious.
Yeah. Unfortunate.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we about to bounce.
Anyway.
Yeah. All right. Paul, see you in about 10 minutes.
Dude,
that's
huge,
about it.
man. 10,000. That's
that's quite an accomplishment. You deserved it. You did.
All right, Paul. I do have to ask
really
real quick,
grown.
bro. How long has you been on YouTube that it's taken to get to 10K, man? That's such a huge deal.
Oh, gee, it's taken like I literally started like 5 years ago. It would have happened much quicker if not for my my initial busyness with study and work. But it would have still gone quicker afterwards if not for my ADHD and my inability to just schedule things properly until like very recently. Now I'm on the loop properly, like since this year basically. So it would have happened much faster. Like it was in like the past year where I've had my fastest growth, hence being able to get to 10K at this point instead of in another 5 years. So yeah, it took me that long, but it's the growth's going to go even faster now because I am going to be very regular with my stuff. A lot of good stuff coming, which I think you'll like, especially Colin.
Yeah, I'm hyped for it, man. I'm excited to see the stuff you have coming. Actually, 5 years isn't bad, man. I mean, getting to 10K in this niche of YouTube is actually kind of hard, man. So I feel like it's a huge deal.
It can be.
Yeah.
Yeah,
there is the law of
so
diminishing returns when it comes to this kind of esoteric ecclesiology type stuff. But
exactly.
I think with your discipline that you've got now, and honestly, with the kind of intellect that you're pouring into these, with doing the reading, I mean, you've still got a ways to go. I predict great things. I mean, I've only known you for about 2 years, I think, maybe 3.
Yeah, something like that.
And you've really blown up and absolutely deserve it.
Mate, I'm humbled. Thank you guys so much. And I think this is a perfect time to call it. So you gentlemen, huge thanks for coming on. And I guess whoever's coming on with myself and A Goy for Jesus in the next one, I'll see you guys in a moment. But for everybody else who came on the stream, thank you, legends, for coming on. Thank you, Colin, especially as well for being here. It's really cool. And thank you, everybody in the chat, for coming here, especially those who decided to donate. You guys are absolute legends. I'll do one final shill right now just before we end. If you guys enjoy my work, you see benefits in it, and you want to get some cool extra benefits yourself, become a supporter over on my website, link below in the description. There was a good number of you guys who joined since my latest massive video drop, and I'm telling you right now, there is a lot more to come. My next video, hence why I said, Colin, you might like it, is the next video in my recurring patrology series, where I'm going to be covering the Mariology of Augustine of Hippo. That's going to be coming out ideally within the next week. Production has been that fast thanks to my new custom software that I've built with Claude Code. It's just absolutely incredible. So keep an eye out for that, people. I'm sure you will love that. You will learn a lot, especially. And anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all so much for coming on. This has been, well, my many guests. I won't name you all. And this has been The Other Paul. I hope you all have a lovely day or evening. God bless.